Mics are on.
All right, it is after 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, and I'm going to call the City of Iowa City meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Alter.
Here.
Burgess.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
Harmson.
Here.
Mo.
Here.
Saleh.
Yeah.
Teague.
Here. All right, want to welcome everyone to their City Hall that is here in person, and to anyone that is joining virtually, welcome as well. The first item is, or the item number 2 is proclamations, and this is a proclamation for Older Americans Month. Oh, yes. Before we go there, just want to turn it over to our city manager just to talk about some severe weather things.
You probably all are aware there is some severe weather coming our way. If the sirens do sound, we will move to 3 different locations. So the mayor and council are going to follow me into the finance department where we have a vault there that you're going to be in. The general public has 2 options. Eric will lead a group down the stairs into our basement break room area. And then if anybody has difficulty traversing stairs, Ashley is going to take you to the clerk's office where we have a vault room there as well. So if those sirens sound, again, Eric will go downstairs for the public. Ashley will stay on this level and head straight to the rear of the building. And we'll wait for the all clear. Then the police and fire department will give us an all clear when it's safe to, resume the meeting. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And we hope nothing happens here, right? All right. All right. So we're moving on to item number 2, which is Proclamations 2A, Older Americans Month. Whereas Iowa City includes a growing number of older Americans who enrich our community through their diverse life experiences. And whereas Iowa City is committed to strengthening our community by connecting with and supporting older adults, their families and caregivers, and acknowledging their many valuable contributions to society. And whereas Iowa City recognizes the importance of bringing together all generations and engaging in activities that promote physical, mental, and emotional well-being for the benefit of all. And whereas Iowa City can enhance the lives of older Americans in our community by promoting home and community-based services that support independent living, involving older adults in community events and other activities, and providing opportunities for older adults to work, volunteer, lead, and mentor. Now, therefore, I, Bruce Teague, Mayor of Iowa City, do hereby proclaim May 2024 to be Older Americans Month in Iowa City and urge every resident to take time this month to celebrate older adults and the people who serve and support them. And to receive this proclamation is our Senior Center Commissioner, Nancy Ann Warren, accepting. So please come at this time. We'll have you all come here to the podium. And can we lower it? Thank you. Yes, great. Oh, and thank you as well. Yes.
Bless you.
All right. Well, thanks to both of you. All right, we are moving on to our consent agenda items, which is items 3 through 7. Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, if I just may, I'd like to request separate consideration for 7A.
Sure. So could I get a motion to approve consent agenda items 3 through 7, excluding 7A?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Don, seconded by Mo. And anyone from the public like to address any item in our consent agenda? If you're in person, please raise your hand. Virtually, raise your virtual hand. Seeing no one. Council discussion. Roll call, please.
Salah,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 7A, could I get a motion to approve, please?
Move to defer to our June 18th meeting.
Okay. A motion to defer. Is there a second?
I'm sorry, the one point of clarification I'd make is the item sets a public hearing for June 4th. And so if we were to defer to something past that date, we would just need to do something else. It'd
Yeah.
be just a different motion.
Correct.
Well, that would be, we would just want to defeat this motion then tonight and/or amend it on the floor to a latter date that would be appropriate given the date that you would move to defer to, if I'm making sense.
Would folks support an amendment to change the date to approve the hearing, however the proper length is, so that we could vote on this particular consideration for the 18th?
Second.
What do you say, the June 18th? June 18th.
Okay. So we're deferring it to the,
Well,
So
where's
the
the
public
motion?
hearing would be on
So,
the 18th?
so we would have to amend it now and then defer, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd have to probably check to see what the first July date is. And maybe we could just set that date now, and then you would move to amend it to whatever that date is. And then we would have the vote on the motion to amend. And then depending on the outcome of that, we would have a motion to, have the motion to defer, presumably.
No, hold on.
Yes.
Can you explain that again, because I really
Sure.
don't understand it.
Because what, I'm sorry?
Yeah, I don't understand what exactly you are saying for that.
Yeah, well, let me start again. It's my understanding that what Councilor Dunn is intending to do is move this motion to resolution, setting a public hearing presently for June 4th to the meeting date of June 18th for a public hearing to be at the presumably subsequent city council meeting. Am I correct so far,
Correct.
Councilor Dunn?
Correct.
Okay. And so in order to achieve that result, if it's the will of council to do so, there would be a motion to amend that first, changing the June 4th date at which we would have the public hearing to July, whatever it is, sorry? 18th. To July 18th. And then if that passes, then it's my understanding that Councilor Dunn would like to move to, move to defer the item, although I would say in the alternative, if you just want to have this
We could
thing
just,
in July 18th, we could just amend it
Yeah.
now, vote on it now,
Yeah.
and be done with it.
so we would, so in that case, we would amend it to the public hearing on the first meeting of August, correct?
Well-
First meeting of July.
Yes, which I'm told is July 18th.
July 16th.
Oh,
July
sorry,
16th.
16th.
So I would rescind my previous motion and motion to set the public hearing for July 16th.
I saw this is going to go to the agenda for tonight, like just pull it out from the consent agenda, but.
Well, he did. Councilor Dunn, as any councilor can, asked it to be withdrawn for separate consideration. That's what we're doing now. And now we're kind of working our way through what it is that the council would like to do with it.
Yeah, just can I ask why we're doing that?
I just think I want a little bit more time to go over numbers, to talk with some folks in the community. That's my biggest thing. So it has been motioned and seconded.
But the motion and the second was to defer
Oh,
until...
no, I made it an additional motion, and Councilor Alter seconded it.
Okay.
And we can vote on that?
So that I'm clear, your intent is for this public hearing to be on the 16th of July?
Correct.
So then we would defer this until
We would not be,
June?
we would not be deferring. So it's now a vote on an amendment to set the hearing tonight for the 16th of July. That's what the amendment would be for.
Got it. So the amendment. All right. So we got a first and a seconded. Honestly, anyone from the public like to address that?
Well, yeah.
Hearing no, well, we're,
Yeah, it wouldn't be in order.
All right, council discussion.
So, I just want to clarify, you just want more time to study?
I just want more time to talk with various stakeholders, various
And-
agencies that deal with people in
and
this population.
Public hearing
Public
June
Works.
4th with a vote the following meeting?
Yeah.
A month from now wouldn't be enough time?
This is the timeline that I particularly am interested in, and I would appreciate support in it.
Okay.
Would that delay the implementation? I know when I read through this, it looked very similar to the direction we gave last time to city staff.
Yes. Would it delay the implementation? I mean, we can do retroactive action if there's any problem, so potentially, but
We would, the implementation date would be after the final reading. We would have to work on a specific date. We wouldn't want to do any retroactive.
Right.
But there's not a hard date that you have to meet. We would just tailor the implementation date to whatever that final reading is.
I just can't understand, I think this is a discount. Am I right or reading it wrong? This is a discount for 75 to give like low-income people. We used to give them 60, and now we increase like 60 discount in their basic water bill. And last meeting we approved it to be 75 discount from their basic use of water. And I don't understand if we agreed and this is for the benefit of the public, why we're deferring this.
we're not deferring it.
Why we setting the public hearing on the other day? not today.
I just think that it's best that we make the most informed decision with the resources that we have, and I haven't had an opportunity to reach out to Public Works yet. That's something that I want to do. I also want to reach out to a number of agencies that are working with populations that deal with this particular issue. So this is just something that I feel passionately about in this way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, question for city staff, if we were to go ahead and move forward with the June 4th public hearing, does that obligate us to vote on this the following? Like, for instance, if at that point, after that public hearing, Councilor Dunn perhaps still feels he wants to do more research, do we have to vote it on the next meeting, or could we vote on it? There's no reason we have to set it.
No, if.
The gap between
I mean,
public hearing and ordinance, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Right, so what we're setting today is for the public hearing on June 4th, and
Yes.
presumably the first reading, of which there would be 3, unless you collapse, would be on June 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And could council move to defer that first reading? Yes.
Okay. I think we have enough time. For me, I think we have enough time from now until June 4th. And I will prefer to stay it for June 4th.
I'm inclined to agree, because the third reading, then, if we go by the normal path, wouldn't be till July. Like, there would still be time. But there's no, I guess I'm not inclined to delay this, because I still see that, if we do all 3 readings with a June 4th public hearing and a first reading, second meeting in June a second reading, 1 meeting in July would be third reading. I think there's still time. So, and then we could all, that's the reason why we have 3 readings, is we can change our minds between reading 1 and reading 3 if new information comes to light. So I would be inclined to not support a delay or change of date on this. That's just my.
Yeah, this, of course, is it's not a sticky situation. I think a counselor is asking for some time to just go out and do some research. I understand the timeline that Councilor Harmson just talked about, the 3 readings. I'm not in a position to question, why does he need that, that much time. I'm inclined to just support the, the amendment. It does delay, but I think I would give that courtesy to any one of our counselors.
Thank you.
Roll call, please, for the amendment.
Which is the,
It is amended, so the amendment for the public hearing is set for July 16th.
Correct. Teague,
Yes?
Alter,
yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo.
Yes.
Salah.
No.
Motion passes 6-1. We are moving on to item number, let me make sure there's no correspondence. No. We're moving on to item number 8. This is,
Mayor, we just approved the amendment. I think we still have to approve 7A.
Oh, yeah, that's
As
right. I'm
amended.
sorry.
okay. Great. Could I get a motion to approve 7A?
So moved.
Second?
All right, moved and seconded. Moved by
Done.
Well,
Done.
I think
Okay.
it had already-
and Burgess,
Both over here.
and seconded by Burgess.
Well, Mr. Mayor, the motion originally was moved and seconded, and we only need to do that once. And then
okay.
it was amended, so it's, whoever, I'd have to go back and look at my notes.
Okay.
Done and
But,
Silly, I think.
well,
Yeah.
I guess I didn't have it written down, I'm sorry. I'm sure Ashley has it. But at any rate, we're ready to move forward.
Okay.
Having it done site.
All right. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one in person or online, council discussion? Roll call, please.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo.
Yes.
Salah,
Yes.
sorry,
Yes.
Teague.
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 8 is community comment. This is an opportunity for the public to come and speak to the council. Because community comment is for items not properly noticed on the agenda, council cannot engage in discussion or debate due to open meeting laws. And I'm going to allow, could I see the hands of individuals that want to speak during this time? Yep, we'll allow for 3 minutes. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Brandon Ross. I am from Iowa City. I am thinking globally. I'm acting locally. I am Ukrainian American, also Jewish American. Half my mom's family is from Ukraine. And right now, the doomsday clock, which is the closest to midnight it has ever been, which is the clock which, if it does hit midnight, that means we're in a nuclear disaster and we've been incinerated. Because of the U.S. meddling in Ukraine, we are at a very, very, very bad time. I ask people to pay attention to this and to contact their council people, not their council people, but their Congress people, although you can contact your council people. I'm sure they'd like to hear from you. You know, that basically what has happened is after the U.S. helped overthrow a democratically elected president in Ukraine in 2014, then armed right-wing militias, basically fascists, for 8 years, including the killing of 20,000 Eastern Ukrainians and over 2,000 children. Hospitals were bombed, schools were bombed. UNICEF put out a warning that over 500,000 children were at danger, mortal danger. Over 4 million people had fled Ukraine and east to go to Russia to take refuge. Think about that. They went to Russia because those were Eastern Ukrainians. Then, after 3,000 UN security ceasefire violations by the Kiev regime in February of 2022, Russia interceded on behalf of Eastern Ukraine. Then the talks were actually discussed and negotiations were to be had in March of 2022, and they were scuttled by the U.S. Through the proxy of Boris Johnson. And the U.S. sent in, appropriated $100 billion in arms, and then basically it began, the real murder and the annihilation. There's over 500,000 Western Ukrainians, Kiev regime Ukrainians, that are casualties, and the casualties in Eastern Ukraine and Russia are estimated somewhere around 80,000. So we're in a devastating situation. But recently, the U.S. had appropriated weapons for Israel, Kiev, Ukraine, and Taiwan, which was reckless. And then yesterday I heard ex-State Department member Victoria Nuland, who worked with Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld in the W. Bush administration, say that we should bomb Russia if things go on. And right now, no, that is not really the way to go. We could be incinerated. We won't have any elder people. Bob Dylan's warning a hard rain's going to fall is really going to happen. Please contact your Congress people. No more weapons. Negotiations, ceasefire now.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your name and city you're from.
Currently, I'm from Tiffin, but on June 15th, I moved to Iowa City. I did send everyone, my name's Mary McCann, I did send everyone an email with a great deal of information about my concerns, but I'll give an overview here. In December, I was present to watch the challenge that the Tiffin's mayor, city council, and Sheriff Kunkel faced when they presented the Tiffin's 5-year law enforcement contract to the County Board of Supervisors. I did attach a number of things for you to refer to.
– 70 miles per hour.
Should I continue?
So we're going to continue our meeting for now, but we're going to keep watching. And I'm going to give you about an extra 15 minutes. I mean, 15.
And I'm
15
73,
seconds.
so I can keep talking.
15 seconds.
I've practiced.
on record.
I've practiced for 73 years to, talk for very long periods of time. Ask my grandchildren. At any rate, we'll go back to that I watched what they were facing when they were trying to pass a 5-year law enforcement contract with the Board of Supervisors. And I sent you a great deal of information. As you know, the 911 calls that come through the Johnson County Emergency Communications Center range from 11,000 per month to 12,000 per month. And I also have a great deal of detail that I sent to you about those needs. When the Board of Supervisors voted, the 3 ayes were the people that are up for election right now. The 2 nays, were V and John, people who I admire for the work that they do in our communities. But under these circumstances, we have a conflict. Mandy Remington is running for a seat, and she agrees that money should be pulled from law enforcement in order to take care of social services. I would ask you to consider that perhaps the city councils who did all of the negotiations, especially in the unincorporated areas, are the people who represent us. The people in Tiffin do not feel represented by Des Moines. When they look for representation and democracy, they look to their city councils. They look to the hours that they spent in negotiation for what our city needs. I feel the same way when I move here, that I look to you to represent each of your constituencies, of which I will be part. And part of that is to have law enforcement. As we are right now, the government in Des Moines has ended all liaisons to law enforcement from social services. It took Coralville, North Liberty, and the Sheriff's Department together to join for a grant to get one social worker to help out. One, for the 3 of them to share. State government is not going to have to dictate this to us, I would think. They have a reality that we don't share. And I know that people in Tiffin were very angry to think that any contract that comes before the county board is going to be treated with law enforcement as prejudiced. They're going to rule against it. They're going to find a way. And in a time when we are facing extreme challenge for law enforcement, in an election year where there are more threats than anyone has ever seen before, I think that we need to understand this is not the time. We do have to build community, and I admire the people that do that. I like to think I'm part of that. But we have a long way to go to get society ready for a 911 less opportunity.
Yep. Thank you. Will you please sign your name in on the desk here? There's a sign in. Yes, thank you so much. All right, seeing no one else for public comment, we're going to move on to planning and zoning matters, which is item number 9. 9A is rezoning 302 through 316 East Bloomington Street, local historic landmark. Ordinance rezoning property located at 302 through 316 East Bloomington Street from Central Business Service Zone to CB2 with a historic district overlay zone. And could I get a motion to pass and adopt?
Mayor, I'd move to defer to the June 18th formal meeting.
There's a movement to defer.
I'll second.
There's a second. So there's a movement by Don, seconded by Mo. Anyone want to give some comments on why this is?
No.
No? Okay. All right. So when we do a movement like for deferment, I guess we can invite the public up to just give some discussion if they like.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's up to the presiding officer. That's you in this
Yeah,
context.
I mean, there's people here that came to be heard. So there's a movement for deferment.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
The applicant is HBC, right?
That's correct.
Would the applicant support a motion to defer to the 18th?
My only concern is the chair of the HPC is here. I wonder if the HPC has actually weighed in on that question.
They have not.
Then I think it's probably the answer would have to be that there's no position taken.
That's fair.
Yep. Any members from the public like to address this topic? And this is the historic, local historic landmark consideration. Welcome. Please state your name and city you're from. And if I could see just the hands of anyone that wants to, okay.
This is before we make a motion to defer, so the only thing they'd be able to talk about is the motion to defer.
So,
Yeah.
which is true.
don't understand.
But still, the motion is on this historic overlay. So, I mean,
Yeah, if the question was, do we accept public comment upon a motion to defer? Was that your question, Councilor Dunn?
No, the question, well, so I guess what I'm caught up in is normally when we deal with a motion that's passed and or that's made and then seconded, we then vote on it, and then that is it. I'm wondering about making public comment on a motion to defer. We don't normally do that.
Well, I mean, every resolution, of course, would be a motion to second, public discussion,
Yeah.
council discussion, and so forth. As I mentioned to the mayor earlier, whether to allow public comment upon this kind of motion, or frankly, kind of any kind of motion, is up to the presiding officer. And so if the presiding officer wishes to just move forward with the vote, that's fine. We can certainly do that. If the presiding officer wants to welcome public comment, that's fine too.
yeah. But I think I heard you say that you're thinking that the comments from the public should only be related to the deferment.
Yeah, because that is the item that we're now discussing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can only really discuss if we should defer or not defer this item. So you really can't go into a lot of comment on the merits of to landmark or not to landmark this position or this property. Okay? So if you are wanting to give public comment about this deferment, I welcome you at this time.
Well, I guess I'll say that you should probably defer it. All right, thank you.
Okay?
My name's Jay Honahan, by the way,
Yep, and you're from what city?
Iowa City.
And I'll have you sign in right there. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Thomas Zager, and I just want to be clear that if I'm commenting on the deferment now, so if you choose not to defer, I'll still have an opportunity to speak about it.
Correct.
I didn't expect that this would be deferred. That surprises me a little bit, and I don't have an opinion on the deferment specifically. All that I want to say on the record is that I had a conversation with Maz before this meeting, and if you do choose to defer, I would enjoy the opportunity to convey some of the things that we discussed to other people that have strong feelings about this issue, but that's how I would use this time as an active citizen, but I don't personally support deferring it further. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. And you don't have to take it off the sticker. You can throw it in the basket.
There you go.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome, Lou Tasneri, Iowa City. I also was surprised by the motion to defer, and I can't really have an opinion. I have opinions on the actual item on the agenda, but I would hope there's going to be some discussion as to why there would be a motion to defer, because I think that's very important for the public to know why it would be deferred at this point when it's already been a very sort of long, involved process. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, my name's Sharon DeGraw, and I support the motion to defer, in part because, totally because of the week leading up to this. A friend who is in the business community, who I know was aiming to talk to Maz to flip her vote, said things that blew me away that were untrue, and I think that's important to have further conversation and clear those items up. It was a lot of hyperbolic talk, and it was just alarming, and I hope that that doesn't become the direction that Maz is persuaded to believe. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Jordan Sullivan, and I would prefer to just proceed with the vote. I think that I can address some of the concerns of councilors during public comment, and I would say let's just do it tonight and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your city and
Hi,
name.
Susan Futrell, Iowa City. I did have some comments about the original motion. In terms of a motion to defer, I don't have a strong, I'm surprised also, I don't have a strong feeling either way. I think I would only support deferring if that time on the council could be used to discuss in informal meeting or with the staff some of the concerns that have been raised. The Mayor Pro Tem in particular has brought up some important issues about how we maintain older housing stock in the city that I think are worth exploring. I don't think a vote against this designation would address those issues. I still think the designation needs to go forward, but if the extra time were to be used to further strengthen the benefits of that designation, then that seems useful. Otherwise, I think if you don't have time to talk more about it in between, it's probably time to vote.
Thank you. And I'll ask you just to sign in there. Thank you. All right. Seeing no one else for comment on this item, council discussion.
I think it makes sense if the applicant is no longer wanting a motion to defer, I can rescind it. Oh. I think it makes sense if a representative, not actually speaking for the applicant, is not wanting a motion to defer. I think that is appropriate. So I will ask people fail this.
So you want to rescind the motion?
I think we have to vote on it, don't we? Can I rescind?
Yeah, my preference would be to we just go ahead and vote it down
Okay,
if that's,
great.
yeah.
All right. Any other discussion by council? Roll call, please.
This would just be a voice vote as a motion.
Oh, so all in favor of a deferment, say aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Motion fails 0 to 6, 0 to 7. Sorry. All right. Can I get a motion to pass and adopt?
So moved, alter.
Second, Mo.
Okay. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? And this is where you can come and speak on specifics. I'm going to, again, just let everyone know that this is an opportunity to speak to council. Council will not engage in discussion or debate. However, council may ask staff to respond to a concern or a question posed by the public, or to follow up with the speaker at a later time. So we'll invite you at this time. We'll give everyone, I just want to see a show of hands of everyone that wants to speak. Yep. And so we'll give 3 minutes to everyone. Please state your name and city you're from.
Hi, I'm Jordan Sellegren. I'm the chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. I live in Iowa City. I prepared a speech, but I don't know if it's the weather. I am not going to read it. I am very aware of Mayor Pro Tem's concerns with regard to historic preservation and how the culture of the commission could be improved. There is flexibility that could be introduced, I think, into the way we consider applications that I will raise during commission discussion at our meeting tomorrow, which was rescheduled due to agenda item things. So that meeting is at 5:30 tomorrow. I would invite anybody in the public to be present at the meeting and speak during public comment so they can share input on how we can move forward as a commission and how city staff can improve historic preservation efforts in general. And I just want the councilors to know that as the chair, I am definitely willing to work toward any improvements that are suggested. And those are my comments, and I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.
Thank you. And I invite people to just kind of join and stand on the line and just come forward. Yep, welcome.
I spoke to you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I spoke to you just a minute ago. So,
please restate your name and city you're from.
I will. My name is Jay Honahan, and I live in Iowa City. I would ask you guys strongly to vote this measure down tonight. I don't believe that it's really historic, especially the building where the laundromat is. And I would also, I don't think that if the owner was going to sell it, I don't think he would be talking about this tonight. Also, if you talk to other businesses, for example, St. Mary's Church, that there has been designated historic, they have to go through a lot of things to get things done on the outside. And you are not providing enough help to the owners of their buildings. I mean, 25% from state tax revenues to restore a property building is not sufficient enough. And when he goes to sell the building, if it's designated historic, he'll take a loss a little bit on the building. And so I would encourage you guys to vote this down and send it back to the Historic Commission, maybe see if they could divide the property up for the owner. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your city and your name.
My name is Thomas Agrin. Maz, thank you for our conversation, and know that I will strongly advocate for your concerns that you raised with me, so thank you. I've spoken at a lot of meetings about this, so you know where I stand on this issue. And similar to Jordan, I've made some last-minute revisions to what I was going to say, but I, however, am still going to read the majority of what I was going to say. When we urge landlords to reduce rent or require affordable units, it may well reduce their profit margins. And we see the collective good that this does in our communities. And when we require higher environmental standards, it cuts into the bottom lines of developers. When we zone, it means a neighbor can't bulldoze their house, build a gas station, and cash the check. But we all know why these things are right and appropriate. And this situation is no different. Nobody in this town who owns a multi-million-dollar building or property is a victim. Maintenance of buildings, old and new, is expensive and is a responsibility. In fact, for newer buildings, even more expensive. Try building one. The motion has sailed through our civic processes, HPC unanimous, P&Z basically unanimous, support from city staff, overwhelming majority of council, hundreds from the community have written or turned out from all perspectives, including the business community. The building has been identified in the comp plan forever to be designated. The owners themselves have thoughtfully maintained and preserved this particular building, and for 100 years seen the dividends from that preservation work returned to them. It may be time for a new owner and new ideas for the next life of this building, new investment, but there is never a right time for demolition and more luxury condos in Iowa City. Nobody sends postcards of 5/1s. The process has been transparent, thorough, and fair. The application checked every single box. Bruce, I voted for you because we share a lot of values, but your peculiar waffling on this sort of slam dunk of an application is disheartening to me. Everybody is watching how you guys vote, so vote in line with your community, with your commissions, and with your staff, because if our commissions, codes, processes, and civic plans ultimately have no authority, do any, put it to rest so that all of those who have mobilized to save this building can instead be mobilized for causes more dear to you. A vote in favor is not just right, it will mandate and empower the HPC to overhaul and refresh how our preservation policies are communicated and implemented. Even if there are any ambivalence left in your mind, I ask you to defer with humility and respect to the unanimous opinions of those who have given this such close consideration. Your vote is recorded, but not just in the dusty ledger books of City Hall, it's also recorded in our community's consciousness. You as an individual represent our council and the choice to send a message to our community about what our local government is worth, capable of, and values. Please do not use this particular building as a pawn. Vote yes, show us that you listen to us, that Iowa City is still a city worth fighting for and living in. I'm going to skip a little bit here, I'm running out of time, and show us that as our leaders and our neighbors that you also want to live in a community guided by collective values over personal profits. You have a big audience on this issue, and spectators love a buzzer beater, so let's see one from you tonight. Thank you.
I'm going to call Jackie, who's online. Welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Wonderful. Hi, my name is Jackie Biger. That's spelled B-I-G-E-R, and I'm in Iowa City. And I'm calling in favor of the zoning, the historical zoning of this property as well. I just want to say that I live in a house that's 100 years old. I live in a conservation district, and that was not something that came easy to us. We were lucky to be a recipient of a home through the university housing program that used to exist where they would remodel rentals, and we are so lucky to get to live in the neighborhood that we do, and we are so proud of our neighborhood, and we are proud when we get to remodel. And yes, we have to follow certain stipulations, but that's because, you know, how a built environment feels and what it looks like matters. And part of why we love Iowa City and the North Side and what we've chosen to make our lives here is because of buildings like this one, and because of the North Side neighborhood district, the North Side businesses, and the way you feel in a space really matters, and saving history really matters. Once this is gone, it's gone, and we have very little left in our town to look to remember what our history was of and how far we've come as a community. So I just urge you to vote to save it.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your name and city you're from.
Yes, Lou Tassinari, Iowa City. So 2 final points from me anyway for your consideration. The first legal, the last speculative. When deciding whether to landmark the Sleazic Hall complex, the city should be guided by its own historic preservation as ordinance, and should bow neither to the hypothetical threat of a lawsuit nor to anecdotal screeds from unrelated property owners. Any attorney who has successfully represented municipalities with respect to zoning and landmarking decisions, will confidently tell you that the decision to landmark historic private-owned buildings violates neither federal nor state law, so long as the buildings in question meet the standards in the city's historic preservation ordinance and landmarking, and is not done for anti-religious, discrimination, or misuse of position reasons. Federal and state courts have consistently interpreted the law in a manner that allows municipalities to landmark buildings owned by private individuals as well as religious institutions. Unfortunately, it is common for owners and armchair lawyers to raise the threat of a lawsuit in response to land use and landmaking decisions as a way to intimidate city governments. Concern over a potential lawsuit should not, however, persuade elected officials from following Iowa City's own ordinances. The best way to protect the city from a lawsuit is for council members to faithfully apply the city's guidelines for landmarking in a neutral manner, concentrating solely on the historic value and the significance of the building itself, neither on building owners, promissory notes from developers, nor ireful citizens. Now the more speculative one. I just wonder, because I hadn't done this, I wonder in the course of your deliberations on this issue, have any of you asked yourself the following questions? Who shopped at the dry goods store? Who stayed at the hotel? Or perhaps more importantly, who was prevented from shopping or staying at the hotel? As just one example that hasn't yet emerged, consider the early Lebanese immigrants to our area at the turn of the last century, mostly Muslim and farmers, the ones who built the Mother Mosque in Cedar Rapids, the ones fleeing the breakup of the Ottoman Empire. Did they shop or swap at Holub & Sons? I bring this up because, as so clearly stated by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, it is only by rallying around places that bring stories to life that communities are not only empowered by their unique pasts, but also safeguard a sense of identity, continuity, and vitality for the future. You simply don't ask those kinds of questions without those landmark buildings. That's what those landmark buildings do for a community. The Sleaza Hall complex should be officially recognized.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm such a nervous speaker. I'm glad not to have to put this off again. I wanted to, first of all, again, thank all of you on the council for the votes so far that have kept this process moving forward, and the ones of you that have really articulately said why you voted in favor and support this.
Will you state your name and city for the record?
I did it before. Susan Futrell, and I'm from Iowa City. I live on the north side. I know you all have a hard job to do, balancing the needs of different perspectives and individuals in the community, and that you can't always make everybody happy. And I want to say again, as has been said, I think you have an opportunity with this vote either to make a few people happy over some expected financial gain and financial benefits, or a lot of people all over the community, small businesses, neighbors, visitors, happy because you've helped maintain and preserve a kind of quality of life and culture in our town. The process going on this long has given me the opportunity to think more about some of the other issues that came up at previous meetings around affordable housing. And I also wanted to address the concerns that the Mayor Pro Tem has raised. I've been thinking about them a lot, and also just walking around the neighborhood, thinking about what it would be like to have another high-rise apartment building in that area. I think, again, as I said in my earlier comment, taking some time to really address those concerns is really important. Historic preservation used to be about the elite and about the kind of big fancy buildings, but in my experience in Iowa City in the last 25 or 30 years, it has really been about preserving the older parts of town, which in many, many cases are also the most affordable, walkable, family-friendly neighborhoods that we have. Over 50% of the units in the north side are rentals. They're almost all old, but not all of them. Some of them are 8-plexes and 4-plexes. a lot of them look like single-family houses, but they're really apartments and rooming houses. I think these questions that have been raised about how the council and the Historic Preservation Commission could support owners of older properties to help keep them among the more affordable parts of town are really important. But I will say in closing that I think a vote against preservation for this building doesn't do anything to address those concerns. It just lets us sacrifice a really important resource in our community that we will never have back. But addressing those concerns after voting to support the designation could make an even more powerful statement going forward.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Welcome.
Hello. My name is James Davies from Iowa City. I'm here to voice support for the listing of this project. I first want to just take a minute to commend the Scarta family. I think they've done a really excellent job at preserving this building to this point. I think they're leaving a really remarkable legacy of dedication and hard work that they should be incredibly proud of. It seems to me that the discourse on this topic is kind of centered around the assumption that the property is potentially more valuable as an empty lot as compared to its fully leased current state. And I just want to state that I think that's very speculative and potentially untrue. Given the CB2 zoning, you're fairly limited to a height that you could get on that building, on that site. And the investment needed to make a more dense, fully leased space would be fairly large. I've also heard a lot of talk about support from the city financially. I did want to take a moment to just highlight the other tax credit potential that is unlocked by listing a building. Federal tax credits are a huge incentive structure to incentivize the rehabilitation and the renovation of projects like this. I've looked into 7 projects in Iowa City that have qualified for federal tax credits, and the incentive structures for those total over $17 million. If you compare Iowa City use of these funds, I think there are 7 projects in Iowa City. Dubuque has 52 projects. Waterloo has 30. So it seems to me that Iowa City is doing something, a bit of a disservice in not listing more of these buildings and unlocking these incentive structures. So I encourage you to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Sharon Jagraw again. There's that.
Iowa City.
Iowa City.
Yes.
So my head is shifted in terms of what I thought I was going to say. So one of the things I heard that come up is that it would help if the city staff had either more people or more time allotted to helping people with historic structures get the information that they need so that they can get their buildings worked on and tended to. And I think that's a great step forward if that were to happen, and that would be positive. I've also heard that some of the historic buildings can cost more to have repairs made, and in some cases that's true. But what I found at my house is, like when I had my roof painted the proper way, I have a metal roof, it's going to last 15 to 20 years, and the similar houses with the same kind of painting treatment I've seen are lasting really well. So it might be a little more expensive, but in the long run, it's less expensive because it's a higher quality material that I'm going for, instead of just ripping off the roof and going with cheap shingles. The people that have come here for like the last 3 months or so, you've had over 100 positive letters in support of the designation. The vast majority of people that are living in the north side that own their homes, I think they're happy, they're content. You don't hear them coming here complaining about the process. But last week, I referred to a friend who's a realtor who said that she was going to try to contact Maz to flip her vote. The things that she was saying were shocking to me because she blowed so many things out of proportion to what my experience is, explaining what she thinks the experience she has had and what others will have. I just have caution. I would give caution to anyone being persuaded by that because it's business people who are trained to make as much as money as they can. And we've got this happy little neighborhood that seems to be doing pretty well. And I haven't heard a lot of complaint about historic preservation. And going forward, I hope that the Preservation Commission staff can all work together to make it a smoother process, and I hope that we have a 6 out of 7 vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And welcome. Please state your name and city you're from. And the sticker can go on the list there. Yep, thanks.
My name is Thomas L. Prier, and I am not here to speak about historic buildings tonight, but historic lives on the South Side. The Shelter House building has, if it is not on the agenda,
Yeah.
sir, if you tell me when I can come and speak about disenfranchised people on the South Side, criminal activity in a place,
so
I will find out. I have gone to Iowa City Police. I have gone to several different agencies, and I am here in desperation to be heard. If I cannot be heard, if there is a different date for this agenda to be heard, I will make it.
Yeah, we just passed that item. So typically that's towards the beginning of our agenda for public comment on anything that's not on the agenda. So we're back on June 4th.
June 4th?
June 4th. Yes, we're back on June 4th.
Thank you, sir.
Great,
I will be back here on June 4th.
All right. That's great news. All right. All right. So the public has spoken. We're going to move on to council discussion at this time.
I had notes to talk about the legality of landmarking and notes to talk about the financial incentives, and I think that our community showed up and did better job than I possibly could have. I have notes about case law that's 40 pages long about why preservation has been tested over and over again. It's okay, but I think the actual lawyer who spoke will believe you. And as far as the incentives that the city currently provides that are valuable, I'd love to do more, but we're in a budget challenged position as a city. But those state and federal tax credits are so big and important, and it's money coming from outside into this community. And I have personal experience with it. I bought a house, a 130-year-old home that had a lot of needs, and I did it as a historic tax credit project. And it was my personal home, so I couldn't get federal tax credits. But if it were a for-profit company, like a Polly-Eyes restaurant or an apartment building, they could get 20 plus 25% of money coming from outside of our budget, outside of the city of Iowa City's budget, from the state, into Iowa City. And the cool thing about preservation is it creates tons of labor jobs, because historic preservation is about handwork, and it's craftswomen and craftsmen who are paid pretty well and are skilled people that I love having in this community. And I got to see that up close and personal. So it's one of the reasons why I just feel so positively about this opportunity for this community. Is not just the aesthetic dimension of that cool building, but also it's going to create jobs, it's going to create a sense of community. It's going to be good for us.
I second all of that.
I do have a question for staff. I heard in one of the comments that if this is voted down now, we would never have this opportunity again for this to come before the council to make this project historic, provided that it's not torn down, right? Within a 10-day, I understand there could be like a 10-day request to tear down the building. Demolition. There was an example of another project that it was done within about 10 days is what we were told. So the question is, if this, let's say it doesn't pass today, could this come before the council again?
Well, this is a rezoning, an overlay rezoning, and so normally we don't like to see the same proposal in substance come back in a short period of time. However, if you're talking about 10 years from now, I know that this property has been at least discussed a number of times over the years. I think that it could be considered once more, whether it's just this single parcel or included in a broader parcel, perhaps, at some time that doesn't feel like it's just looking for a do-over next month, let's say. And I'm not saying it's got to be at most more than 30 days. I mean, I would want to see something more than that. But yes, it could come back at some point down the road.
You're saying sometime down the road, but you said in the beginning, we don't like to see. Is that just we don't like to see, or there is a law will prohibit it from coming within the next 30 days by the commission again?
Right. We want to see a change in circumstances, if not a change in the plan itself. That is, we don't want to have the same motion for rezoning coming, or ordinance, I should say, for rezoning come kind of in serial fashion over and over and over again. That's inappropriate. But again, with the great passage of time, usually there's a change of circumstance, maybe a change in comp plan or district plans, community needs or assessments. And again, like I mentioned, or part of a broader parcel that wouldn't be the exact same parcel that's at issue before you today. Those would all be fair considerations to bring it forth once more.
So what you're saying is if there was something that could feasibly change the circumstances of our standard of review, it would be appropriate to reassess.
Well, not just a standard review, because the city's ordinance is what it is, and even if that remains the same, let's say 10 years from now, to use that hypothetical, if there are changes in circumstances, or community needs and so forth, then even without a change in the ordinance, I think that would be fair for a council to reconsider.
Can you go over what our standard of review is today?
So there are two things that you need to find, plus at least one of four things that follow. The two things that you need to find are that the property is significant to American and/or Iowa City history, architecture, archaeology, and culture. You need to have that. And you need to have that it possesses integrity of location, design, setting, materials, and workmanship. You need to have those two plus at least one of the next four. Those four are: the property is associated with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of our history, or are associated with the lives of persons significant in our past, or embody the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, method of construction, or represent the work of a master, or possess high artistic values, or represent a significant and distinguishable entity whose components may lack individual distinction, or have yielded or may likely yield information important to prehistory or history.
Can you tell us what does a standard of review typically mean for council's sake?
I'm sorry, what does
a standard of review mean?
I'm not sure how to answer that. I mean, you mean like a beyond a reasonable doubt? You don't mean that?
No. What is the importance of a standard of review?
I'm sorry, I'm missing your question. I'm sure it's clear, but I'm missing it.
So for the public, what does a standard of review mean? Like, what is our job? I understand that our job is to go through this to determine these criteria.
Right.
But in a greater sense, is the standard of review to say yes or no to those questions? And if we get to a yes on multiple of those questions, then the answer is yes?
Yes. If you feel that all of these standards are met, then your vote should be yes.
And that's classified by law, correct?
I'm sorry?
And that's classified by law, right? It's in code?
Yes. The challenge would be if that decision is arbitrary or capricious. That would be the standard that would need to be met by challengers of your decision.
Thank you.
Sure.
You know, over the last week, I really visited more than 10, 11 historic houses, and I visited also the Rise building for the first time. So to look at it closely, I was seeing it from far away. So I just believe it's a really beautiful building, and yes, it need to be that, but it need to be reserved. But looking at the whole lot and looking around, and it is really huge lot. It have another buildings. Not only that, I went and looked at and spoke to many owners who have currently own a historic house, and those people are saying they love what they're doing. Some of them are really taking care of the building, but some people complain about how difficult to keep up with the building, to keep up with, for example, windows, wood and all this. And also I saw some building the Bloom, I think the Bloom House, that's what it's called, on Summit and College Street. And I saw a yellow house, I believe is in the corner of College and maybe, is that that's Governor or maybe Dodge? I'm not sure, but it is on the corner, and it is really falling apart. They are beautiful houses, and they are historic. And I look up the Bloom House, and it is on the National Register. And when I look at it, the pictures on the National Register is beautiful. If you compare it with the picture right now, it's falling apart. And I think people complain about they cannot keep up with those because it's expensive and all these kind of things. And they think that the policy for the city of Iowa City, when it comes to historic, is really, really restricted. And I went and I looked at the national policy for a national register as historic is way easy and flexible than the one that Iowa City have. And also tax and everything that, Josh, you talked about, people, they heard about it, but they don't know how to navigate. We have a part-time staff. And I think the city used to have a full-time staff, Jeff, am I right? Long time, and now it's part-time? At some point, it was a full-time.
That sounds correct. It may have predated me.
Yes. And now it's part-time. We're increasing historic preservations, and we have a part-time staff. And those commissioners, they're doing something else, just like the council. You know, we have our own full-time job, and I understand that, many of you commissioners are moms and have full-time jobs, and you have your children also to take care of, so you depend on the staff mostly, just like us. We depend on the staff most of the time. So, and I feel like we need a full-time commissioner if we want to continue preserving buildings. So we need, not commissioner, a full-time staff. And also we need, I would love to see the commissioner will sit down with all the historic preservations people and say, okay, how can we can become flexible? I cannot imagine, I don't know the terminology for those things in English, but I can just explain. For example, there is a house and the roof sometimes come a little bit outside from the house like this. There is a wooden things here all around the house. That person want to change it to a metal, and you cannot see it. You can, if you went outside and see, this is hidden. And she being told, no, you cannot change it to a metal. It have to be a wood. So this is not even seen, and the wood is not, she cannot keep up with it, but if they change it to metal, that will last. As you said, your roof is metal, and it can last for a long time. Another thing that a door, inside door, it's covered by a storm door. The storm door is beautiful. The storm door from outside is really beautiful, and it's historic, it needs to be kept. But the door behind the storm door, that is falling apart. And when they want to change it, can we become a little flexible? Because this kind of inside is not outside. I know the topic today is not about changing the policy of historic preservation, as many of you said. And what I'm saying now have nothing to do with the building that we're supposed to do it tonight. But this big building, it need to be like the person who own it, it is not only one building, it's a lot. That means if somebody have one house and they complain about take care of it, what about this person who's gonna take over about the whole block? So that's why I wanna see flexibility from the Historic Preservation Commission and staff who can have more time to explain to the people about those tax credit, about like all these things that like available for them and they don't know maybe about it, they don't know how to navigate. Even the language, by the way, you have to be architect or somebody to understand those language on those paper that I read. Some of them I did not understand. What you mean by this and what, that's why those people need to have access to the commissioner, to the staff to come and talk about their needs and what they want to see change. That's what I want to see really on the historic, if we're going to continue doing this. I'm not against historic preservation at all. I would love to see the building that it is really historic and have a story behind it or have a beautiful design to stay so we can tell the story for years to come. And even for like our children, when they can come and look at it. Yeah, I understand that. But why we're so restricted? Why can't we become like a little flexible? That's the thing that really hold me back from like voting for this, because I don't want to put that person in like really, if the historic, the commissioner or we are not going to have full-time staff, we're not going to be easy. We adding more buildings. We need a full-time staff. We need to be easy on like when it comes to historic things. Yeah, a door behind a storm door. Come on. No one is seeing that, and if that person, why should we ask them to bring, to pay more to keep up with that than just go and have same door painted the same color and have the same thing? Just to be honest, by going around, I just feel like a lot of people told me like things make sense to me. Why we become so restrictive like this? So that's what the thing that I would love to see if the council can talk about it. And if the commissioner will have, I heard from many people, and I talked to them, by the way, the people who was here. For example, Thomas, he is no longer with the commission, but when he left the commission, I think he had a speech, and he was talking about how he would like to see the commission become like some flexibility and changing some stuff that's happening right now. So that was his recommendation to the commission. But nothing happened after he left. So those are the things that I really would like to see happening.
I just want to clarify a couple of facts about where we are with this rezoning right now. So if the property owner wanted to demolish the building and the zoning stays as it is, they can do so, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry. If this zoning fails in its present zoning, yes, the property owner could demolish.
So if the vote fails tonight, the property owner could choose to demolish.
That's correct.
And so I think what I'm hearing from my colleagues is we think that there is value to this building as found by the Historic Preservation Commission, as found by the Planning and Zoning Commission, as supported by so many members of the community.
Northeast at 55 miles per hour. It's moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. Please take cover. It has been issued by the National Weather Service, which includes the Iowa City area. Please take cover. A severe thunderstorm was located over Coralville near Iowa City, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour.
I think we do need to take a break and I know it says northeast.
No, it's
but
not us.
Well, yeah, it's in Coralville.
Just finish your point, maybe.
Generally, we would rely on the weather sirens, Mayor. to
Oh,
Yeah.
so we would just wait for the
Yes,
sirens?
it's the sirens.
If the sirens.
Okay.
Yeah, we
All
wait
right.
for sirens.
It says take shelter.
I think we should vote yes on the local landmarking, is what I was trying to say. Because I think if we believe that this particular property has the historic integrity and meets the criteria that the Historic Preservation Commission recommended to us, that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended to us, that so many members of the community and the business community have articulated so well, that we know there are financial incentives, this is a moment where we can actually preserve this building. And if we vote no, there would have to be a change in circumstances before it would come back for reconsideration for that protection. So I think this really is kind of like the core of preservation when we have an instance where the rezoning could mean such a significant destruction on the property.
I was going to say, and to your point about initially the question about the property owner, if this fails tonight, the property owner himself could raise that building and all of that. So, and say, hey, here's the land for sale. So if we value, as Laura said, all that has been put before us, as well as all of the comp and strategic plans in which it also meets, I agree. I think we have such a preponderance of evidence. The other thing is that this is an eminently saleable parcel. I've seen this happen, not in Iowa City, I've seen it in Grand Rapids, which actually also has a very significant historic district. And property values have skyrocketed. Smart investors have bought historic buildings, have used the credits that have helped the edifice, and then have been able to turn a pretty penny, both for the person who has sold it and for the person who's bought it. So, practically speaking, in terms of the economics for the owner, this is not a death knell. If anything, this is something that can be very, very saleable.
One last thing to just the timing of this, and that would be not all building owners are good historic building owners. Like, it takes a special kind of person to care for and love, and I'm one of them who complains, but I still love my historic home. This is the right time to do this because I think it behooves the whole community that the next owner of this facility is somebody who knows what they're getting into, who knows that it's historic, they know how it needs to be treated, and it's not something that I guarantee this will keep coming back, this building, because it is historic.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to keep coming back. So this is the perfect time to do it.
I agree,
Yeah.
but I want to ask you a question. Don't you think we have increasing of historic building, and we're going to have more coming by us because we want to preserve all the historic buildings in town? Don't you think we need a full-time person to take care of that?
I believe it's a separate question, but yes. But I also it's a separate.
Yeah, it's still that's
But
what.
I agree with that sentiment that we.
I mean, for future, sure, but right now, we've only got the one thing to consider.
I think I'm just asking. I'm just asking. We talk about many things, but I'm just asking you guys. Do you think really we need that? We're going to have this, and we need people really to. We need to take this serious as a full-time job for somebody to take care of our historic preservations.
Mayor Pro Tem, are you conditioning your vote on the rezoning as to whether or not we agree to a full-time position right now?
I think I don't have to answer that question.
That's what it sounds like, so I'm unwilling to give that commitment right now. I don't think that's appropriate.
Did I ask you to do that? I don't think so. I asked Council Josh if he think, and he said he think that, yeah, true. But I did not say that.
To move us forward on this, I think we've already talked as a council of having a general discussion about this on a work session. And I think that's what I heard Mayor Pro Tem was not I didn't hear a everybody must agree to this in order for her
No.
to agree to make a decision on this particular issue, but wanted to raise that as an awareness. And I think that's
Thank
something
you.
that I would absolutely be willing to continue talking about in a work session, and something that if we then, after putting all of our 7 wise heads together, decide that's something to move forward to as we move into the budget, this fall, that's when we would start talking about priorities for the budget, and that would be the time, I would think, in the normal course of things, if we decided that's a wise move, to communicate to city staff that that was our desire. So I did not hear that connected, perhaps, as the same way that you did, Councilor Burgess.
Thanks for that clarification.
Is that?
But thank you, even though I didn't ask nobody, but thank you. I
All
think
right.
that's it.
Oh, okay. All right. Lots of conversations have been had over the past couple of months on this. Just like many of my fellow counselors, I've been speaking to a lot of people on this topic. We've had a lot of correspondence on it. I'll tell you the thing that has given me the greatest pause is that even the greatest, what I would call some of those champions of historic preservation, initially when I first started talking to people before they even knew my position or anything like that on this, there was a lot of conversations and willingness to divide the property to figure out if that could happen and when that can happen, because they were most interested in the one building and not the, I don't know if we're calling it the carriage house and the laundromat, but they could see, and maybe that was more of a compromise for those individuals, to say, if there's a possibility for this, this plat to be separated, then yes, I'm down for that. We now know, I think, that it cannot be split.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to ask one more time, can this property line at any point, even if it's at the request of the owner to separate the properties, the buildings, is that ever a possibility?
I have 2 comments. One, remember that's not the question before you. But
Yep, I just said, yeah.
You know that. It's hard to imagine how we would get there from here, but if your question is purely hypothetical,
it is.
I could imagine a scenario in which portions of this building are demolished. This, of course, would be dependent on a no vote from you, Council, tonight. And then some replatting. I mean, that seems like it would be a near impossibility, but I can't say that it's impossible someday in the future.
You said if it's no vote.
Right. If council votes yes tonight, then nothing can be demolished, and I think the question is moot. Of course, this is a zoning matter, so zonings can be undone in the future, and maybe that's your answer to the mayor's hypothetical. But if the question is, could it be done following a no vote of the council, it's hard for me to imagine how it would be possible, but I can't swear that it is 100% impossible.
Okay. Thanks for that. I just needed to once again hear that. I have maintained that this property at 302 is absolutely historic. And I've also, spoke to individuals that, and I do recognize and respect the work of the person that did the review and said the entire, property is historic. I also read our, the guidelines, I'll just say, where it's the entire property. The adjacent properties as well has to be considered historic. Now, this is where I pivot. 302 absolutely is historic, and I understand it's all connected. I've rode around there, I think 3 times today, but I've rode around there over the past couple of months just to take a look at it. given the likelihood of, this property possibly never being bisected or anything, I am going to vote in favor of this only because I really do believe it is historic. And having it totally lost, I don't think I'm willing to gamble that at this moment. But my vote last time was really to let you know I was not, and still am, a little like in the middle on this. But I do believe that I'm compelled that this is historic, without a doubt. I've never not said it wasn't. And the entire connected, it's all connected and that type stuff. I'm going to support it tonight, but I would like to see some of the discussions happening to help those that want to really be a historic landmark property owner, a successful one, and a property that they want to live in, individuals that are renters want to live in. So thanks to everybody that have gone through this process, thanks to the owners of this property. I know this has not been an easy road for you all to go down, and I'll just leave it at that.
And also, I just add to that, if there is a way we can do something in the future to this historic building, like for the, I don't know, maybe the commission will come with unique situation to still after we reserve this, something can be done about it. I don't know. But yeah, of course. I just still encourage the commission to review their policies and make it easy on the people who preserve. Yeah, I will vote yes too.
Roll call, please.
Can I ask a very, very, very quick question?
Yes.
Is there room for, any comments have to be done now as opposed to after the vote?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that correct?
I think so. I'm not sure what comments you're talking. If you're talking about on this item, this would be the time.
It's more of a general observation for council.
I mean, if you want to talk to your fellow counselors, you can do that now. If it's on this topic.
I'll leave it.
Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Absolutely.
Harmson?
Yes.
Moe?
Yes.
Salah?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We're going to move on to...
We need a motion to accept correspondence, please.
Oh, yes. Could I get a motion to accept correspondence?
So moved, Mo.
Moved by Dunn, seconded by Mo. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We are on to item number 10A, which is Asphalt Resurfacing 2024 project. Resolution approving project manual and estimate of cost for the construction of the Asphalt Resurfacing 2024 project, establishing amount of bid security to accompany each bid, directing city clerk to post notice to bidders, and fixing time and place for receipt of bids. I'm going to open the public hearing. And I'm going to, hello, welcome. I didn't even see you up there.
I snuck in.
Yes.
So good evening, I'm Mari Van Dyke. I'm with the Engineering Division. So this is an annual maintenance project that's part of our pavement management program. And the pavement management program is a program that we have that focuses on rehabilitating our existing streets so that they can last as long as possible before we have to reconstruct them. And so this project specifically focuses on asphalt overlay. So the general process of asphalt overlays starts with milling the existing layer of asphalt, if there is one. And then we'll patch the existing pavement underneath, and we'll also replace any broken curb and gutter. And then we also replace sidewalk curb ramps to make them ADA compliant. And then the last step is adding that new layer of asphalt. So it's generally 2 layers, each layer about an inch and a half thick. So with all of this, like during construction, we're able to kind of keep the construction confined to one lane at a time so that we can maintain at least one lane of traffic throughout the project. So for this year's locations, we have Park Road, which would be overlaid between Riverside Drive and Rocky Shore Drive. And then we also have East Benton Street, which would be overlaid between Gilbert Street and Van Buren Street. And then we would chip seal Taft Avenue between American Legion Road and Herbert Hoover Highway. So the estimated construction cost is $1,350,000. And for schedule, we have bid opening June 11th. We would award the contract June 18th, and then construction would be from July to November this year. So that's the quick summary, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can you pull up the map again?
How many times can you resurface?
Pretty much, I mean, you would just keep milling the layer, and I think it's kind of indefinite. And as long as the pavement underneath holds up okay, because it needs a decent base underneath of it to hold up.
I'm thinking about City Park Pool right now. Is the resurfacing, did you take into account future large projects like City Park Pool? I see number 1 looks like it's about at Hancher, maybe?
Yeah, pretty much. It's right around there, yeah.
Is that a concern at all to engineering, that there'd be a lot of construction activity in a year, or is that? No.
Not so much. I mean, it would probably have some impact, but I think we really wanted to prioritize Park Road just because of the shape it's in already.
Understood. Okay.
So.
All right, hearing no more questions for you. Would anyone from the public like to address this topic? Okay. Welcome, welcome.
So I'm Sue Prothero from Iowa City. I ride my bike on Park Road every day, and it's really horrible. But I also walk my dogs on Park Road, and the sidewalks on Park Road don't come close to meeting the new standard. So I know that you can't answer my questions, but I have the concern that we're just kicking the sidewalk problem on down the road.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address this topic? Seeing no one in person or online with their virtual hand raised, I'm going to close the public hearing. Could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dunn, seconded by Sala. Council discussion.
Do we have a plan to deal with the sidewalks? Or,
So
just wondering about that.
with road maintenance, I'm going to oversimplify things, and some of our engineers can supplement what I'm saying, but you really have a couple of options. We're talking about the overlay option here, and again, if you look at what we're doing with a $1.3 million budget, that should tell you kind of the level of maintenance that is. To put that in context, Rochester project, which is that full reconstruction, looking at the sidewalks, basically ripping everything up, you're 6, 7, 8 million. We're getting ready for Court Street, which is now probably 9, 10 million. So this project is not intended to be a whole-scale fix of Park Road. Really, honestly, I think we're buying probably 10 at 15 years of road maintenance with a project of this scale. But again, that's what we're investing into it. To directly answer your question, no, we don't have any major road reconfiguration projects on Park Road. That would include sidewalks. This one will include curb ramps, which we do, but it won't address the kind of the mid-block sidewalks. If there are deficiencies with like cracking and things like that, that would get caught up in our sidewalk inspection program. So every 10 years, every bit of sidewalk gets inspected by the city, and we will fix or compel property owners to fix those sidewalks. So I don't know where Park Road stretch would be in terms of our inspection cycle, but we do have a process in place to address the quality of the pavement, not the kind of width.
That was my next question, so thank you very much.
Do we also address those on a complaint basis, Jeff? That every 10 years is the normal cycle?
Yes.
But, okay.
Yes. If there's complaints, we'll add that to that year's
Okay. Thank you.
cycle.
All right. Hearing no other discussion, roll call, please.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Salah?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 10B, Landfill Equipment Building Replacement Project. Resolution approving project manual and estimate of cost for the construction of the landfill equipment building replacement project, establishing amount of bids, security to accompany each bid, directing city clerk to post notice to bidders, and fixing time and place for receipt of bids. I'm going to open the public hearing and welcome. Great.
Joe Walter from Engineering.
Jen Jordan, Resource Management.
Great.
We're going to tag team here a little bit. So I'm going to start out just by showing you where we're at on the site. So we have the scale house, which is going to get a little bit of work. I'm going to talk about that. We have two existing buildings labeled Building A and Building B, and then the new building, which you can see there. So generally, this project's going to involve the demolition of the Building B. And sorry for that typo in the initial drafts. It's Building B. Renovations to the scale house will include a new water service. So we'll be bringing potable city water into that building. That water main was extended with the IWV project, which we completed about a year and a half ago. And then there'll be a backup power for the scale. One of the biggest things, we can lose almost everything at the landfill, but you don't want to lose the scale. So it creates a lot of paperwork for our staff if we lose the scale. New building, that's a rendering of that building that's in the plan set, shown there at the bottom of the slide. We're taking the opportunity to redo our utilities, gas, storm sewer, water main. There'll also be a bulk water fill station, similar to the one that's at Transit and Equipment on South Riverside Drive, similar to the one that's out on East Side Recycling. So, and Jen?
Thank you. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about the timeline and then show you some pictures of the existing buildings, one that was just coming down. A few of you have been there. Thank you for visiting and seeing those. So this project goes back a good handful of years, as you can see here. We started being included in the Public Works Master Plan many years ago. The landfill building was included in CIP in 2018. So we've been taking steps towards making this project a success, or hopefully a success and a reality. The biggest thing that came out of hiring SCS in 2021 was determining the location for the new building. If you think back to that first slide, it's actually adjacent to the north of where the existing building is that's coming down. So that's probably the biggest thing that came out of the study with SCS. Okay, where am I? There we go. Okay, so Building A, again, this one is staying. So this has 3 equipment bays and then a staff break room, which you can see here on the right, in 2 different sections there.
You must have an Android. It didn't come on the Apple.
Oh, yeah. They just ask you to leave, not us.
Apple users just are on
Yeah.
their own.
Yeah.
We're on our own.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can shelter out cover.
You can continue.
Thank you, Mayor. So you can see it's this building was built in 1989. You can see it's in a pretty bad state of disrepair. I tried to get the most flattering photos. That was really challenging to do. So this space is currently used by 10 staff, including I'm very proud to say we now have a woman operator. So we do have 1 bathroom and 1 shower space for all 10 staff. At any given day, 8 or 9 of them are there. So this is another shot of the building. This is looking into the shower and into the single stall bathroom. You can get a sense of it's pretty decrepit at this point, and it's definitely a morale issue for staff. This is building A. Again, this is staying, so this is looking out into the Bay Area. There are 3 overhead doors. At the north end there, the far end, is actually the break room underneath the space up above there with the, what's the word I'm looking for?
Mezzanine.
Mezzanine, thank you. Yep. So, and then the next picture is showing from the mezzanine down. So again, this building is staying. We will continue to use this space. That break room will actually be used as part of our compost operations, our lab that we have at the landfill. That'll move into this space. So moving on to building B, this was actually the building that's coming down, built in 1992. You can see the great welcome it brings for staff with that great door and the rest, everything's rusting out there. The area to the south is actually kind of where the buildings come together in the L shape, so the south and east side of the buildings. Any attempts that, or any concrete we had there at any point 30 or 40 years ago is long gone. Any attempts we've made to reinforce that space are long gone. So it's pretty much a mud pit. That is a space where the equipment comes into the building. So we really need to look at that as well, and we have done so. It's obviously in really poor shape there. So this is building B interior. So again, this is about 3 equipment bays. And you can see from a climate perspective, this is not a great building. There's pretty much no way to climate control this. There's also no way to vector control it. As if you've heard me talk about vectors, are the polite way at the landfill that we say rats, mice, and birds. So there are no, and raccoons, yes, thank you, and skunks. There are no way to keep those creatures out of these buildings, and this is where staff is working. This is where they're laying on the ground, cleaning the material. You can see the piece of equipment on the left there. We have to clean that off on a regular basis to make sure that we can prepare or do proper maintenance for it. So if there are any leaks or if there are any cracks in the equipment, we need to be able to clean it to see that. Staff is literally laying on the ground in this building, and we can't clean it. It's not a great situation for them. So we are very excited to be considering this new building and replacing this current one that you're looking at here. And that's what Joe will talk about next.
So that existing building is coming down is about 3,000 square foot. The new building that we're putting up is over 12,000 square foot. So we're going to get substantially more space to store equipment. Give you an idea how this new building is laid out. So right now we use the part of one of the existing buildings to, if we need to do some kind of washing of the equipment, which is a regular occurrence coming out of the landfilling operations with dirt and trash and all kinds of things all over it. So if we're going to do maintenance, if we're going to do something on the equipment, we really need to clean it on a regular basis. So this building's going to have a dedicated wash bay. That's in the bluish purple color. That'll be one bay. The center there in the green is going to be 3 pull-through bays. So we could park 2 dozers in a bay, 2 compactors in a bay. We can get our all of our trucks and our equipment into this building to store it and to maintain it. There'll be 2 offices here, so all of our staff doesn't have offices. Our senior operator doesn't have a place to have a private conversation with one of his staff, and so that'll be a huge improvement there. Have a really nice break room with a kitchenette and lots of storage areas for us to dedicate just things like charging all of our equipment. We'll have dedicated spaces for that. Some nice windows outside, some nice windows into the equipment bays. And then we'll have a dedicated mud locker room if you guys been down to Public Works. It'll be similar to that where guys can come in and wash their boots, wash their pants, wash all their stuff, and have that space there so that we keep the mud and all of that out of the space where people are having their lunch, having their meetings, having those kinds of things. So you can see how that looks. Up in the upper left corner is the scale house. The new building is sitting there in the center. We will have concrete on the west side. There'll be structural concrete on both sides of the building, but the dedicated concrete for parking and for movements on the west side. On the south side and the east side, it will be gravel. So to acknowledge the fact that that's our primary way to have the equipment come in, that concrete would take a lot of abuse. So we're going to have a surface there that we can maintain and replace. In the lower left corner is where that bulk water fill station is going to be. And again, we're redoing storm sewer water mains, we're moving the LP tanks, we're putting in a backup generator, so quite a bit to do there. I put a couple sections in. This is an interior section, so there'll be a mezzanine up above the office spaces. All of the utilities will be up there. The IT room, storage will all be up above in that mezzanine. And then these are exterior elevations from the east and west sides of the building. This is the bulk water fill station. Again, if you've been to East Side Recycling, it'll look very similar to that. Try to tell you guys how we meet your strategic plan. So this falls into the economy part of the strategic plan to ensure appropriate infrastructure is in place for future business growth and development. The landfill is vitally important to the operation of our community, and having a safe place for our staff to work and being able to maintain our equipment and being able to stay in service. I can't tell you what boost it will be. The operators have been waiting for this building. I've been here for coming on 6 years, a little over 6 years, and I've heard about this building since day one. So they're really, really excited about this, and so we're looking forward to giving them that opportunity to have a nice space for them to do their work in, invest in them, and invest in our community. $4,650,000 is coming from the landfill fund. We have sort of some tiers of dates here. So the bid opening coming next month and the award after that. We do have sort of early and late start dates to accommodate some flexibility with the contractor. Obviously, we want them to get in there and get going on it, but we also don't want to be so restrictive with the schedule that we would discourage somebody from bidding. So we sort of have an early and a late start date, and we have some different milestones. So if they can't get the certain things done by a certain time period, there will be some penalties for them, both in the fall and in the subsequent spring. But we won't be ready to occupy the building until spring of 2025. So. Shive Hattery did the work on this design, and we're really pleased to work with them. They had a wonderful staff, and we changed our minds several times, and they went with it and did an excellent job. So, questions for us?
Pretty sure I know the answer, but just confirming, this is exclusively for city staff. There's no Iowa City public function that would come into this space unless it was like a special event. Is that right?
We would continue to have the space in the scale house to host public events, okay. To have people come and hear about what we do at the landfill, and to entertain the public, to meet with other colleagues that we're working with, whether it be consultants or contractors, whatever. We continue to use that space primarily for that in the scale house. This would be for city staff. Yeah. And will be controlled access like most of our buildings are.
You might have public wanting to come see it if you have a nice new big building, though.
I'm sure Jen would love to host the next public works service week open house. Yeah.
Pressure's on Jen.
Yeah. 2026 coming at you. So.
Excellent. Jen, thanks again. I got a chance to tour the facility out there last Friday, so thank you for hosting me. It is an impressive operation. One of the things I think that I had learned the other day that wasn't mentioned, but it might be useful to council to know, is that this new facility will be the old facility doesn't have wide enough doors or tall enough doors to fit all of the equipment. So this will allow
We got as wide and as tall a doors as the structural engineer would let us get. We were pushing that envelope as much as we could, so yes.
Well, and that plays a big role, because not only does that leave equipment outside when it shortens the lifespan of the equipment, but when they have to repair it, some of the repairs can't just be done in the dirt, or they have to wait for weather. Being able to pull some of the equipment inside, if I'm remembering correctly, would save us time in terms of like having to actually ship equipment like big bulldozers and stuff on a tractor trailer up to some other city. So this actually will have a couple of other cost-saving benefits, which if it was on the slides and I missed it, I apologize, but I thought that was, I appreciate that because that also fits our strategic value.
Sometimes staff is working on the equipment for 2 or 3 hours. So imagine if it's very cold or it's very hot or it's wet. You know, those conditions, if you're outside, become pretty unbearable quickly. So having a space indoor that's controlled environment where we can do that work is going to make a huge difference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one in person or online, I'm going to close the public hearing. Council discussion?
Long overdue.
Yes.
This is very,
I'm not sure we have a motion and second yet. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Dunn, seconded by Alter. All right, council discussion. I would say well-deserved, well-needed, just for the morale of staff.
Yes.
So,
At the very least.
yes. All right, roll call, please.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Salah?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 10C, Fire Station 1, Apparatus Bay Slab Reconstruction Project. Resolution approving project manual and estimate of costs for the construction of the Fire Station 1 Apparatus Bay Slab Reconstruction Project. Establish an amount of bid, security to accompany each bid, directing city clerk to post notice to bidders and fixing time and place for receipt of bids. I'm going to open the public hearing and welcome.
Good evening. This is the public hearing for the Fire Station Number 1 Apparatus Bay Slab Reconstruction Project. Not a terribly exciting project compared to that last one. So basically all we're doing is repairing the front slab of Fire Station 1, and we're going to add in a code-required sand oil separator and then make a connection to the sanitary sewer. So those 3 things. Estimated cost is about $300,000. Our opening will be June 12th with award June 18th, and then we'll start construction after the 4th of July celebrations downtown, and then hope to be open before school starts. So any questions?
One thing that I would ask, and this is really just out of curiosity, I'm really curious how deep the hole is. Yeah. So as we're tearing that up, I would love to hear.
Yeah, we'll measure that and get back to you.
We don't want that in the future. That should be the record.
Yeah, and we actually did try to repair this with an epoxy, and it didn't hold very long. And it moves quite a bit right now when they drive the truck over it.
How does fire operations continue while this is under construction?
So we'll do it in two phases. So we'll have one bay open at all times, and then they may have to park a truck somewhere around the corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fire station will be open.
It's continuously operational
Yes,
throughout the
correct.
entire process.
Yep.
Okay.
Just feed the meter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's prices
Bag of
these
quarters for
days, though.
somebody.
Yes. Thank you. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one in person or online, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Mo.
Second. Saleh.
Moved by Mo, seconded by Saleh. And council discussion.
Yes.
Be done yesterday.
All right. Roll call, please.
Mo?
Yes.
Salah?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 10D, fiscal year 2025 utility and parking rates, public hearing. This is an ordinance amending Title III entitled Finances, Taxation, and Fees, Chapter 4 entitled Schedule of Fees, Rates, Charges, Bonds, Fines, and Penalties. Could I get a motion to pass and adopt?
So
Move.
moved. Go ahead.
Move Saleh.
Second, Harmson.
All right. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one in person or online, council discussion.
Like I was saying, those parking rates, guys. That's all.
By Mo.
Roll call, please.
Salah?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 10E, adjusting park hours ordinance amending Title 10 entitled Public Ways and Property, Chapter 9 entitled Parks and Recreation Regulations to adjust park closure hours. Can I get a motion to give first consideration?
So moved, Mo.
Second, Burgess.
All right, and turn it over to our city manager.
Yeah, this one's quick. This is just adjusting the park hours at Chauncey Swan and College Green. This would have the parks close at midnight and then open up at dawn, consistent with the opening times of other parks.
All right, any questions? Hearing none, anyone from the public like to address this topic? Seeing no one in public or online, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Teague?
Yes?
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Salah?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 10F, bicyclists and crosswalks and using sidewalks. Ordinance amending Title 9 entitled Motor Vehicle and Traffic, Chapter 1 and Chapter 6 to require drivers to yield right-of-way to bicyclists at crosswalks and to require bicyclists riding on sidewalks to obey pedestrian devices at signaled intersections. Can I get a motion to give first consideration?
So moved.
Second, Burgess.
Moved by Dunn, seconded by Burgess, and we'll turn this over to our city manager again.
Yeah, again, a quick one here. This is in response to House File 2568 that was recently signed by the by Governor Reynolds, excuse me, requires that drivers yield to the right-of-way to bicyclists in the crosswalks. This is an ordinance that aligns our city code with this, and it also requires bicyclists riding on the sidewalk to obey pedestrian traffic control signals.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeff? Hearing none, anyone from the public like to address this topic?
Actually, I do.
Oh, sorry.
So is there going to be some kind of, I don't know, signage that lets, I mean, you would hope that this is kind of self-explanatory, but like requiring drivers to yield right-of-way to bicyclists at crosswalks, would there be signage that alerts them, or is just something that we should make sure everybody knows?
Yeah, I think it's more of a general public education effort. I think a lot of the public hopefully, would already be doing this.
One would hope.
But this was actually a big win for the bicycle
Yeah.
advocacy, something that they've been working for many years.
Okay.
And I think some general public education's a good idea, but I'm not sure that intersection signage at all the crosswalks is probably
I mean,
the right
that would
approach.
become costly, so, okay.
Just generally out of curiosity, and at an unmarked intersection, so like a residential neighborhood, if somebody's bicycling on the sidewalk and they're going to cross a street from sidewalk to sidewalk, but go across the street, do they have to stop because it's not marked? Like, what is can they just shoot out? And I say that because I've seen that happen with some of the kids in my neighborhood. And, obviously it's on the driver to be careful, but is that, I've seen older people do that too. I mean, seen adults do this as well.
This might be one of those classic right-of-way questions, like
Law school,
If you're talking to your
flashbacks.
children, like, well, you might have the right-of-way, but
Yeah, don't be
that'll
dead right. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You mentioned bicyclists as opposed to pedestrians. I don't make sure I get your question right.
Yes, bicyclists.
I think bicyclists probably need to. Boy, I'd have to go back and look, Counselor. But I think bicyclists need to defer, whereas the pedestrians, I think, do get the right-of-way in that circumstance, although, again, I would urge caution before they wander off. And you mentioned it, uncontrolled intersections. It's what you
Yeah,
said,
I mean,
right?
there's no traffic signal that,
Yeah.
would then be covered by this ordinance. I just noticed that wasn't in the, wasn't addressed specifically, and just having observed, like, near misses there sometimes
Right.
around Southeast Junior High and that neighborhood, so.
Sure.
Does, for both our ordinance and House File 2568, is there any distinction for things that are like bikes, motor scooters and
Right. So, I mean, the part of the definition of pedestrian conveyance here, which is what we're trying to track in the state code, does talk about things that, it excludes bicycles, to get to Councilor Harmson's question, but it does include things that have a motor that is less than 750 watts. Those are considered pedestrian conveyances. And so those who are riding, let's say, kind of, I'll say Razor-style scooter that has a motor on it, that's a pedestrian conveyance, and that counts. And so they would get the rights that are conveyed to pedestrians in this ordinance. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, our ordinance and the state covers it, but this University of Iowa might have slightly different rules.
Of course, on the university property, that's they
Different.
control. Well, much like we do. I mean, in the downtown district, within the
Ped Mall plus.
we don't allow bikes on the sidewalk. Period, and that would certainly be true of motorized scooters and other than motorized wheelchairs and stuff like that.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion there? Roll call, please.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Salah?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Item 10G, City Park Pool Selection of Conceptual Design A, resolution selecting City Park Pool Conceptual Design A, and authorizing the city manager to enter into agreement with the Williams Associates Architects Ltd. to develop plans, specifications, bidding, and construction services for the City Park Pool Replacement Project. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Don, seconded by Salah, and welcome.
Hi, Julie Seidel-Johnson, Director of Parks and Recreation. I really hope we get a round of applause by the end of the night.
Yes.
Just saying. All right, I'm here. I have about 11 slides to just take you through the summary of the longer presentation you saw a few weeks ago. I'll just remind a few things and then go through the recommendation from staff. Project goals, we've seen these lots of times. Just a reminder that the goals of the project is a multi-generational facility, generally within the fence line of the facility, cognizant of our climate action goals, cognizant of future lifeguards, and increased accessibility for everyone, and welcoming from the time they get out of their cars all the way through the pool experience. We had the design considerations that were summarized after the first round of public input, and they're very similar. The one thing this adds was there was a strong desire to avoid overlapping functions. So we heard this from all sorts of groups. We heard this from the teens when we met with them at Southeast Junior High. They love to play in the water. They hate to get yelled at by adults. So can they have some space to themselves? Lap swimmers like to have their space. Kids with or families with kids like to have their space. So there was some real intentional things done here to try to separate uses within one large facility. Also, once again, preserving the history and the feel, open feel of the facility, the tree line, focusing on learn to swim, and once again, that multi-generational and safety. Notice lap swim didn't make the top of this list. You've heard a lot about lap swim. We've heard from a lot of other people as well, and this process had a huge outreach effort through all levels of input. We had online, we had in person, we tried very much for equity, swimmers, non-swimmers, all areas of the community, just a whole lot of effort to make it as fair and as informative for you as possible, with 566 feedback touch points before we went into the concept design phase, and then the survey between the random survey and the open survey. 1,582 people participated in that. I only chose one slide from all the survey slides. You certainly had all of those at the last meeting, and those are all available online on the project site. But this is the interest level for the 4 concept designs. As you can see, that concept A was by far the most popular. B is close thereafter with just separating the pools, but C and D not really receiving enough for us to move forward, considering those 2. So option A is the recommendation. However, remember, it is still a concept design. So there's still some things that I think need to be worked out as we move forward through full design. And some of those things are listed in the packet. We'll get to those in a second. One thing that staff wants to still look at is the separating of the 3 pools. So we do have a concept. The next one shows concept A, but in the 3-pool design, so 3 separate pools. This gives us a lot more flexibility for operations and staffing. So we want to still have that as possibly an option, but option A is by far the preferred one, the going forward with the leisure pool area, the 6 lap lanes, the diving well with a high dive and a low dive. You had asked at the last meeting about lifeguarding, so we have kind of a comparison chart. The current pool, we do this in 3 different scenarios. If we're open for just lap swim only, it takes between 2 to 4 lifeguards to manage that. And the difference of that is if you have 3 lap swimmers or you have 30, so 2 to 4. If we have light open swim, so beginning of the season, end of season, it's 70 degrees out and kind of rainy, but we're still open. It takes 7 lifeguards to have the current pool open. And if we're busy, then it's 10 to 12. And that really depends on the weather. It depends on how many people are in the water. Option A is we're recommending about the same number for lap swim, about the same number for light open swim, but it would take more. We hope that we have a busier pool once we get through the new options. So we have 10 to 14. If you made that with an 8-lane, 50-meter lap lanes instead of 6, you would essentially add 2 lifeguards to both the light and the busy time frames. That's because it's a wider area. That makes it's too wide for the zone coverage of the lifeguard scenarios. And then if you're going to have the 3 separate pools in option A, you actually have fewer lifeguards because you don't have the transition from the leisure pool into the main pool. That's one of the high areas where we need the most lifeguard eyes on the water. Without that area, with a break between those 2 pools, it takes fewer lifeguards. This is all with this is our best guesstimate at this point. This was done with lifeguards who have guarded at a number of other pools and our staff. Lifeguard scenarios change. I don't think we're going to know the exact numbers on any pool until it's actually built and we're standing on the deck. But that's our best estimate at this point. Okay, let's talk a little bit about funding. Jeff.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in on this one. So this is a project that the cost estimate has kind of jumped considerably from master plan to concept design to where we're at now. Your current budget anticipates $10.8 million. And if you remember when we did the RFP, the language in the RFP asked for 3 concepts at around 10 million and 1 stretch one at 15. And when we started getting into developing the concepts, we realized that that budget was not going to deliver a pool that was going to be satisfactory to the public. So we made the decision as staff to proceed with what we felt could meet the community objectives, not wanting to sell Iowa City short for several decades to come. This is a long-term investment that we're making. So we definitely don't want to be we don't want to make a decision that we're going to end up regretting down the road. That said, our intention from day one has to not incur debt, not incur significant debt for this project. The budget does include an anticipated $1.3 million debt issuance, which would be our limit for this kind of project. So largely a cash investment here. It is also utilizing the facilities reserve dollar. So we created the facilities reserve back in 2019. At that time, we were benefiting from some surpluses in our annual budget, and we were putting those surpluses aside for investment in city facilities such as this, not exclusively this, but such as this. We would have to reach this 18.39 million. We're going to have to look at nearly exhausting our entire facilities reserve. So over the years from 2019 to present, we were able to amass approximately $17 million for our facilities reserve. This would take largely all of that, but we would look also at doing some internal loans, which we've done for facility projects in the past. Eastside Recycle Center, Harrison Street Deck, even the Streets Equipment Building, we've done some internal loans to allow those to happen. So what I'm delivering to you with this message is that the 18.39 is a stretch for us. We can make it work. We would tell you if we really felt we needed to take a step back and delay things, we would urge that we stay on schedule. But we also urge careful consideration of this preliminary cost estimate, and that's something that Julie and I are going to really have to work towards in that design phase. Once you get into the full design phase, there are going to be some unanticipated challenges, and there's some contingency built into that preliminary cost estimate, but we're going to have to make sure that we don't grow much beyond that. If we grow much beyond that, then my tune would change pretty quickly to where we can't make this as heavy a cash investment as we're planning right now. Again, I think we can at 18.39. It may mean some sacrifices or some alternative funding approaches to other facilities we had envisioned down the road. But in thinking through those, I think we can come up with some alternative financing plans for those items. So happy to answer questions. The big thing for you to know right now is that this project is just under, at the preliminary cost number, we've got about an $8 million gap that we're going to have to cover.
Can you speak a little bit to the time frame moving forward of design?
Yeah, two slides.
Perfect, I'll
We'll
wait.
get there. Okay, we do want to mention there's still things that we'd like to still be figuring out as we move into design, and these are some of the things we'd like to still consider while staying under that budget. As I mentioned, the idea of detaching the leisure pool from the lap lanes, going back to that idea of having separate functions, if we have one of those mid-afternoon accidents in the pool, we don't have to shut the whole facility down. We can shut down one. We could heat one. There's just a lot more flexibility if we could separate the pools. Enhancing the 25-meter and or the 50-meter. We don't have the 25-meter lap lane figured out yet. We have options, but I don't have a perfect answer for how people could swim 25 meters with a hard stop on each side. So we still want to work on some options, see what we can come through on that. Want to look again, keep looking at that current channel as the kids' activity. We've had at least one commissioner with concerns about the safety of it. We'd like to look at that versus other kids' activities that maybe could be a part of that zero depth area. And then adjusting the pool deck size, that's still a lot to be kind of shuffled around. So what you see in a concept design, things may move a little bit here and there to have less concrete, less cost with that, but that's still coming. Possibly some bathhouse or filter house modifications, and then placement and number of shade structures. Those are all things that I think are still to come as we move further into design. So next steps. So we would hope to move with some direction tonight to move into design from now through the end of this calendar year, get bidding in February and March of next year, and then construction during the summer of 2025 with an opening around Memorial Day on 2026, so 2 years from now opening. So the pool is filled right now, by the way. It's almost ready to open, but not holding the water all that well.
Just leaving the hose in there overnight?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So with that, I think we can answer any questions you have.
I actually, Josh, you wanted to.
I was curious about, in addition, this is what I wanted to see, and what the ideas that you have for any additional checkpoints with council before we get to the February 25 moment.
Yeah, I don't know that we have that mapped out yet.
Okay.
I would say, if all goes according to plan, there probably is not another checkpoint between now and when we present to you the bid docs. If the budget becomes a challenge, we'll have a checkpoint with you. If we feel like we have to scale something back to meet that budget, we'll definitely have that checkpoint. We don't want to deliver anything less than what is shown in Concept A. We're hopeful that we'll deliver more. So that's probably not a satisfying answer, but it kind of depends on how that design phase goes.
Yeah. So this is kind of, I'm sorry, you
go ahead. No,
I was just going to ask. We will have, because we are hearing from constituents at the same time that you are. I think that in reading the resolution, the sort of including but not limited to seems to really take into account, like, these are the things we need to figure out and that we know the public is interested in, which I heartily applaud. Is there continued opportunity for us as we're hearing more from people about saying, yeah, don't forget about this? I mean, the last thing I want to do is micromanage, nor am I a designer. But at the same time, just to say, here's the resolution, and then let us know what the final is, it feels like there's been so much input. Like, is there opportunities?
I think we've
for
heard
us?
loud and clear the amount of input. We know that you've heard a lot about lap lanes. We know that both 25 and 50 meter are important. We've also heard from, the other people that are involved in this entire process. Don't forget about kids and families. Don't forget about everyone else. So it's going to be a huge balancing act.
Okay.
But yeah, we've heard and we understand that there's a lot of constituencies in place. Our advocate group has been amazing sticking through this whole process. We get that. I don't think there's a perfect answer, but we want to try our best to right-size this pool so it meets the most needs we can and lasts you for the next 50 years.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
I just wanted to say thank you throughout this process. It's not been an easy one for sure, whether that means, the whole gathering of opinions process from the public or just, the very public-facing, constant job this has been for you. I want to personally thank you for, taking on that position and also just doing it really well, and being able to manage many differing interests and bring people together, I think, into something that's going to really be beneficial to the greatest number of people in our community. So I just really wanted to give you that, Julie. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I think I've told you this before, but I first got into Parks and Recreation because I was a 15-year-old lifeguard. And it came into the field through aquatics. This has been my first love. So the fact that we get to do a project of this size, I'm glad people are so interested and want to have so much say in it. But it's going to be amazing if we can get this done.
Yeah. Any other questions for Julie? Thank you. We're going to move to anyone from the public on this topic. Anyone want to talk about it? Please come up. And we'll ask that you state your name and city you're from.
I'm Mary Helen Stefaniak, and I live in Iowa City. I've lived in Iowa City for 42 years. And in all those 42 years, I and my family made use of City Park Pool. So I feel as though that gives you some kind of something, some kind of cred. You all recently, just a couple of days ago, got an email from me. I don't know if you've all had a chance to see it, but it's one of these, such as you're describing, Megan, where you're getting more. Well, what about the 25-yard lap lanes? And that's indeed what my letter was about, if you recall. But I think it's, and I should have actually probably brought something to show, but the 25-yard lap lane is not in any of the designs. It's not there. And I know that in the work session, it was like, well, what could we do? Could we divide it with a rope or something? Well, you can't really do that. And in my letter, I wanted to stress that the 25-yard lap lane is a part of the pool that is probably in the most constant use from 1 o'clock until the pool closes at 8 than any other part of the pool. The people who use it for fitness swimming, they're there even if the water is cold. And so there's someone there when the rest of the pool isn't looking very inviting to other people. But where it's most important is when families come with bigger kids and adults, and the kids are in the diving area or they're in the play area, the wonderful, I like the shape of the play area in the Concept A. And where many of the parents, what they like to be able to do is just swim, a couple times across the pool, just swim unobstructed. There is no place in any of the designs except the old original one for that to happen. If you talk about not overlapping areas, people who come to, who would just like to be able to not just watch their kids and not just, I'm not there just to lap swim for fitness, but just to be able to swim in the pool without bumping into the teenage teenagers who don't want to be bumped into or told where to go. There's a particular, if we haven't heard much from people about the short course lanes, I think it might be that the families and other casual swimmers who buy a summer pass and regularly use City Park Pool can't imagine that the city would approve a pool design that leaves no place for them to actually swim, unless they come to lap swim. And they're not necessarily lap swimmers, or they're very casual lap swimmers. I wanted to mention one, I'm almost out of time, so I can't. But I hope that if you pass the resolution, that you cut it off after conceptual design A.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this topic? Welcome.
Hi. Well, Sharon DeGraw, and I love the current City Park Pool and understand that it needs to change to some degree. And the numbers that went by, I would just say, notice how if the Design A is fully staffed, there's a significant increase in lifeguards, up to 15, compared to the design of the pool right now. And like Mary just said, I do agree. Like, I use the pool not for lap swimming, but just to be in the pool, and I look for spaces not to be kicked by kids. And I see the Design A is going mostly in a little kid direction, and I don't know that I'll be lap swimming because I don't do that. It sounds like when I spoke to the person who was the designer, and this is back in February, he said that the beauty of this new design is that if we don't have staff, we'll just close down sections of the pool. But to me, that says that's less pool. We get to see it, but we don't get to use it, and that's sad. So I wish that some variant of D could come back. Perhaps if you have to extend out a wing of the shallow end, that would work. If you needed to slightly expand the catch-all area of the swimming pool and take out a couple trees that are over by the Gaga Ball pit area that I don't think it gets used a lot, that would be okay. And the designer once again said 1 or 2 of those trees are volunteer trees and not very valued. One thing that I wanted to ask about, and maybe Julie at some point will clarify it, is when there was information about the adult diaper changing station and wanting to increase usage of the pool by groups that don't usually get to use the pool. The purpose of an adult diaper is to save an accident for a minute or 2, but that basically means if something goes wrong, that whole pool water has to be changed. So my question is, could something like D, with a lot of flexibility for the general public, and then another little expanded area for adult swimmers that maybe have different needs, could that happen off to the side? And if an accident happened there, that would just have a smaller catch-all area. So save money on lifeguards, create a pool space that accommodates the majority of people, going back to D, and then have a smaller, well, expand the kiddie pool, but make it not as big as the shallow version that's in A. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address this topic? Seeing no one else, council discussion. Roll call, please.
I thought I was being polite. I was just
I heard nothing.
You think we're going to let this go without comment?
I mean, I heard nothing.
I was like, yeah, really? No. We good?
I wanted to say thank you to members of the public who have spent a lot of their time and effort to shape this process, to Julie, members of the staff of the Parks and Rec Commission, and other city staff for all the work. I think this started right around the time we got on council, 2 years, or this is halfway through our 3rd year. And so this is probably the first big project I've got to see from like very first level all the way to this point. Obviously, we're not done yet, so I don't want to break out the champagne and whatever else, right? But anyway, I want to acknowledge from so many parties the work that went into this and to get us this far. And, I will be keeping my fingers crossed that the next design stage does actually address some of the things. And also for the budget stuff, I will definitely be keeping fingers crossed, knocking on wood repeatedly and all that kind of good stuff. So.
I just have a question. When we're saying we mentioned here the 25 meter and the 50 meter lab, we just think like design A we can implement that on it in the future, that it could be. And is that means we're going to come back to this, or?
No, we want to continue to look at other options. We've looked at some options where we could either add some space to the diving tank. That doesn't appear to be the favorite option at this point, or ways realizing that you'd have the 3 50-meter lanes open all day long. Is there a way that we can adjust those to 25 meters? We're just still trying to figure that out. There will be that quiet space. There will be that space available for lap swimming at all times when the pool is open. It's just right now it's 50 meters over shallow water. We have to determine if we can compromise to that, or if there's some other way that we can make it happen crosswise, or some other way. We're really knocking our heads against the wall trying to figure this out, but I give you our attention that we are trying to figure something out.
I don't know, but I still don't understand. Is this, if we approve this tonight, is this means we're going to add the 25 or not?
Not necessarily. We're saying we need the time in the design, in the real design process, the full design process, to explore that. But we have budget constraints absent, alternative direction from you all. It could be that as we get into option A, it wouldn't be unheard of, especially in the last few years, that it's 20% more than the preliminary cost opinion just to build what was there. And that's going to be a real challenge for us. So I'm really hesitant to say that, yes, we're going to make accommodations and be able to add, 2 more 50 meters or 25 meter lanes. I'm hesitant to say that right now because we just won't have a more refined estimate until we're into the detailed design phase. If it's a must for you, then by all means tell us now. If you tell us we have to have 25 meter fixed lanes, then we'll go at it, and we may have to come back to you with an alternative financing strategy. Hope not, but we may have to. As it stands right now, you would be approving option A, and what we're trying to say with the way the resolution's worded is we're going to look for ways to enhance both 50 and 25 meter. We're hopeful that we can do that. We can't guarantee it. What we're saying is we won't pull back, right? We're not going to present you with the plan that has 4 50-meter lap lanes going forward. We're going to stick to the 6 as shown and hopefully enhance it, but we can't make that guarantee until we're into the design.
And once again, to be clear, the current design would have 3 lap lanes available, we think, at all times except during swimming lessons. And those are 3 lap lanes over shallow water at the side of the pool away from the other activities. What it doesn't offer is that touch point at the halfway point to turn around and go back. But you're in shallow water, not deep water like you were in the old pool. It's not perfect, but it is for that experience you talk about all day with being able to swim and be at the pool when everyone else is there with the families. That will be there. It's just going to be in the longer option, not the 25-meter option. We know that's not perfect, but just to be really clear, we think the experience will be there in a different format.
I just believe that we are not doing this pool like every few years. This is going to be last for like long time, and we don't want to change it. So if there is any way we can do it right now, our also community is growing and more people will start using this pool. And I just heard from a lot resident, the 25 lab is really important to them. And I feel like if there is any way we can just, figure out money for. I know the money is tight, but if we can figure out something for that, because we would like to have something really gonna last forever, and it will accommodate everyone.
I completely understand that you've had a lot of outreach on the lap lanes. I would just remind you that the rest of the public input process that we had did not highlight that nearly as much as what you're hearing in the one-on-one conversations. It's of all things important. We also don't want to forget about families and kids in their space too. And I really urge you to think about, we need to right-size this pool so it's under a budget we can get done. It's something that we can operate into the future, that we can lifeguard into the future. And there's some trade-offs with doing that, but I think we're at a point where this is probably the right size, and we'll make it work for whatever happens in the future. There's flexibility to the way it's designed. It's not going to meet everyone's exact stated wants, but I think it's going to give the experiences that most people are looking for when they come to this outdoor pool.
I do think it's been extraordinary to think of where we started and seeing a sea of people, very, very passionate and in many cases very unhappy about what, may or may not happen. And to be here tonight and seeing how close and how much input is actually reflected in the concept is really amazing. And I hear the people loud and clear also about the desire for 25, but I also remember from the presentation that within the existing A, there are options for 25, some version of it perhaps. So I guess I would just encourage you to keep looking. But I'm mindful of the fact of, like, if we keep going at perfect, we're going to blow the budget up. And it's going to take forever, because then we're going to want to have our hands in it. And I think at a certain point, we've done absolutely everything that has been done in the right way, in an inclusive and very, very deliberate way, to get as close to something for everyone. And I think that this is a really good representation of it.
We said how much it cost extra if we add the 25?
We don't have an actual number on that. We know that to add the 250 meters was more around 800 to $1 million. So probably in that same ballpark, just depending on, we don't have those kind of answers for you tonight, though.
Okay. Well, I wanted to just say thanks to all of those, to the staff and to the public for coming and weighing in in so many ways on this item. Happy to be here at this point tonight. The Design A is the one that is, is the most favored, and I do trust that the staff is right here, a part of the language, that you're going to look at other opportunities that you just mentioned. So I'm comfortable moving forward with this tonight.
Yeah, I like Design A too. Like a lot of people, even the public, said, they agree for Design A. It is nice, but I hope, the staff will figure out something for the 25 lab. And we are really, our financial is very good. We're AAA. Like, for the one, we can figure out something. And I trust the staff that they can find something.
Roll call, please.
Burgess.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Harmson.
Yes.
Moe.
Yes.
Saleh.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Alter.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Can I get a motion to accept correspondence?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dunn, seconded by Alter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We're at item number 11, council appointments. 11A is Ad Hoc Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I think we're going to just go one by one with these. All right.
Zach Palmer.
So we have one non-gender balance requirement. I want to mention again that Selena Martin did move out of the community, so that is not an option for us.
I think Kayla Rossi, is that her name? Kayla?
Kayla?
Support either.
Okay.
I could support either.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sound like we got the majority for Kayla Rossi. Okay, could I get a motion to appoint Kayla Rossi to the Ad Hoc Truth and Reconciliation Commission?
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Don, seconded by Salah. Yep. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11B is Airport Commission. And this is one vacancy to fill a 4-year term, July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2028.
Just have the one applicant?
I think
Yes,
Electra
just
is
the one applicant.
great.
I was just noticing there's late correspondence
So Urban Commission, there is
included, but
this one.
Yes.
yes. So can I get a motion to our people, what are people thinking?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a letter supporting that applicant, so yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So can I get a motion to appoint
Electra.
Electra Orzanko?
So moved, Mo.
Second, Burgess?
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Can I get a motion to accept correspondence?
So moved.
Moved by Don,
Second,
seconded by
Burgess?
Burgess. Okay. Sometimes I don't know who it is. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11C is Community Police Review Board. This is 2 vacancies to fill 4 terms, July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2028. And this is 11C. That's the item that we're discussing. There is 2 vacancies, so 1 male required and then 1 none.
Franz.
And Colette Atkins.
Agreed.
If I can interject, I'll make the same comment I made last time. There was an opening for which Mr. Becker was available as an applicant. He's a public defender, and I continue to be concerned whether he would feel torn between the confidentiality that he needs to follow as part of the CPRB in terms of seeing videos and so forth that are not generally available to the public, and his duties to zealously advocate for his criminal defendant clients. I don't think it's disqualifying. I just want to raise that as a concern.
And I think that attorney would have ethical obligations to recuse himself to avoid any conflict of interest.
Right.
And as I mentioned last time,
Yeah.
there was an attorney who was a defense attorney who worked in my office who was the chair of the CPRB. So I don't think there's any problem with having a person
Well,
who's positioned that way.
I guess my response would be, I'm not sure which attorney you're mentioning, but
David Selmer.
Sorry?
David Selmer.
Yeah. Someone at the public defender's office, of course, does nothing but criminal defense, and I'm not sure how they would recuse in the sense of, if they were to recuse from any time they're going to watch a video of a police officer, that doesn't leave a lot of work for them to do.
No, but it would be if it was a conflict relating to a case that they had, which I heard as your concern.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But of course, the problem would be you'd be watching a video and you'd see some officers and so forth. And even if you don't have a case, I mean, certainly you're right. If they had if the video was related to a current case, that would be easy. They would clearly need to recuse. My concern is broader than that. That is that they would watch a video of an officer and so forth, and they have no case with that officer right now. But 6 months from now, they do, and they've now seen video of that officer from a case that is not theirs, but which they may wish to use as impeachment on the case that is theirs.
And wouldn't they have
using
to
that same
disclose
officer.
that?
Sorry?
Wouldn't they have to disclose that?
Would who have to disclose that?
The attorney, or Franz?
I'm not sure. I can't think of any ethical rule that they would require them to disclose that they had seen that video. And it just in a situation, that hypothetical situation, it just seems that would put Mr. Becker in a difficult situation. He's made a promise to the CPRB to maintain confidence in those videos that he's seen, yet of course has a very serious ethical obligation to zealously advocate for his client. Where does he come down?
There are also very strong evidentiary rules relating to the kinds of evidence that can or cannot be used that would implicate an officer's prior conduct or their, participation in any other incident. We have those rules in place.
Sure. You're right. My concern would be that, let's say he was going through either a cross-examination or a deposition of an officer. He feels that the officer did not answer honestly based on a video that Mr. Becker had seen. What then?
We have on the floor two people that's been.
I would add Dave Schwint to that.
Okay.
I think we have three.
Yep, so we have
candidates
two males
that
that's been nominated, as well as Colette, which, I guess is one male required and then one none. I guess personally, I would throw my support behind Colette and David.
I'll go with Dave.
Franz and Colette are where my vote's going to go.
Yeah, I guess this feels like it's two parts of a coin, since Dave Schwint worked for the ICPD for 22 years, and I know that we've had that, and I think continue to have that sort of like, someone who's retired, but I think within the first couple of meetings that we had to deal with this, and ultimately I couldn't go there, so I will not, as much as I actually respect Dave Schwint, I won't.
For me, I think
Vote for him.
I agree with you, because that gives me pause as well. And we did have that discussion right soon after we started. But one of the things we as a council decided was there had to be a period of time. And it's also one of those, giving these three candidates, I think, I also agree with Colette. So I think that's probably going to be a consensus. But between Mr. Becker and Mr. Schwint isn't currently still with the police department, where Mr. Becker is still a public defender. And so, who's going to walk into a job? And I think raising these, just the very fact that we have two candidates that would allow for us not to have anybody question, have to recuse themselves on who knows how often of a basis. Like we would know that out of the gate that would be an ongoing issue. I don't think, and that also said, I'm also aware of, from other members of the council, of Mr. Former Officer Schwint's reputation as being very fair-minded, being somebody who has done a lot of good work in terms of the data, and so that also weighs into my decision-making process. And weighing those two things out, I agree, Megan. That was something I had to give some real thought to, but I think I still came down with the Colette and Mr. Schwint, Miss Atkins and Mr. Schwint.
I guess I can support Colette, but I'm.
Were you throwing your support behind Franz?
I am not sure.
Okay, all right. Yep, no worries. Just wanted to see where other people are. We do have 4 for Colette already.
Yeah.
David, okay, so we got, so far we have 3 for David, 2 for Franz, and then 4 for Colette.
And I would support Schwint and Mr. Schwint and Ms. Atkins.
Okay, so could I get a motion to appoint Colette Atkins and David Schwint to the Community Police Review Board?
So moved, Mo.
Second, Harmson.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so I think I have 3 nays. Okay, so motion passes 4-3. Would you all, I wonder if I should have broke that out by male and none, but.
I don't think we have one of these.
We did it.
Yeah. Okay.
Slot as appropriate.
All right, we are on to 11D. So 11D, 11E, and 11F. I think I'll do those all at one. Well, no, we'll just do it. 11D, yeah.
I would
If that-
move.
Sorry, if I may, Your Honor, it might be helpful to do them as a group, only because if you do them one by one, you might be limited in the first one, let's say, because of the present composition of 4 females and 3 males. This is one of the boards or commissions that's required by state law, and thus until July 1, we need to have gender balance.
Well, do you still have a gender balance?
July 1.
We do need to have
Oh, I
gender
can't
balance
say that.
until July 1 on this board,
So
or this commission.
First thing that I want to comment on, I'd like to defer consideration for the first historic preservation to our second meeting in June, or second meeting in June?
Is this really, I don't know.
For all 3?
No, just for the first one.
The College Green.
The College Green one.
Defer
Oh,
College
okay,
Green,
got it.
2 meetings.
I just have a general question. When we defer, are we then keeping the application period open until, like, the packet time for the meeting immediately prior? Is that the intention?
That would be what I want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that's
Yeah.
what we're
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And is there a reason why we're deferring? Since we want to be a little transparent to the public?
Yeah, I would just like to see other candidates aside from just the one person, and I know that the person has had some interesting interactions with the city in the past relating to historic preservation. So I want an opportunity to talk with them and learn a little bit more about their interest and see if other people are interested as well.
But don't we have another one that have only one person apply and we move forward with it?
I'm just saying that I'm
Why
not
we
comfortable with the
treating this?
candidate right now.
But that's why we vote.
Yeah.
I guess my question would be, is there anyone else, is there anyone else that wants to defer this?
Yes.
Yes?
No.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think, yeah. And I certainly think allowing for more applicants is a good thing when we have just one or a small number.
Okay. So could I get a motion to, it sounds like you need to make a motion to defer, Don?
So moved.
No second.
Moved by Don, seconded by Mo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11E, we'll go there. That's the Historic Preservation Commission. East College Street, this is one vacancy to fill an unexpired term plus a 3-year term upon appointment through June 30th, 2027. And there is only one person, and that's Ryan Russell.
Should we just defer all 3
Yeah,
of these? So
we can defer them
yeah,
all.
Yeah.
You want to
That's fine
defer
with
them
me.
all?
Yeah.
11E and 11F as well.
Okay.
Because that would we'd still appoint before the current term is up.
Well, 11F has 3 applicants.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I was just
I
thinking
opened
about
it.
the gender balance comment that
Oh.
our attorney made, that maybe we want to consider them all together.
Yeah, there's.
Oh, yeah.
But they also have to live, the at-large is probably not problematic
Right.
because they have to live in certain
I
communities.
think we can take care of the at-large one.
There's
Okay.
2 women and 1.
Okay, so is there a motion to defer,
East College?
yes?
Move to defer 11E.
Okay. And this deferment would be, so moved by Burgess, seconded by Alter. This deferment would be until June 18th. Roll, all in favor say aye of the
Aye.
deferment.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 11F is Historic Preservation Commission at large. And there is no gender balance requirement for this one.
Margaret, the archaeologist, like to, that is a pretty cool skill set that not very many historic preservation commissions get to have. Am I thinking of the wrong Margaret?
No, that's the right
No.
How long has she been on the commission?
So she served one full term. I think she's, I think she's great. She's done a great job. I would also put out there Gabriel, because we don't have, on the historic preservation, any category that will require a contractor or anyone that does this, I guess, work to buildings. And so that's where I found Gabriel to be of interest, because they do work on historic preservation properties. And I think at this moment in time, that could be very helpful.
We do have contractors on the commission, but I still think
Yes.
this applicant looks great too.
Looks like we are in the clear for the thunderstorm warning. However, we are still under a tornado watch until 9 p.m.
Thank you.
Be careful when leaving the City Hall building because there are several trees down in the area.
Oh, heard stuff.
Okay.
Good to know.
Glad we didn't feel it.
Mayor, the one comment I wanted to make about gender balance here is that, again, with a present composition of 4 females and 3 males, I think that because the term does not begin until July 1, it's probably okay for you to appoint a female
Sure.
now, but
Got it.
understand that your hands would really be tied for the subsequent appointments, and you would need to appoint at least 1 male so that you would be
Understood.
compliant. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
I could go back and forth between the two of them, honestly, Margaret and Gabriel. I could go either way.
They'd both be great applicants. Archaeology is such a specialized thing that
agree.
why I was attracted to that, because that is part of the umbrella of historic preservation.
Yeah, I agree. I think in that way I go a little bit more for Margaret, but I can be happy with anyone.
So Don is up at Margaret. We have Josh at Margaret, Bruce at Gabriel. Any other? Okay. Alter at Gabriel.
I'd say Margaret.
Okay. Burgess at Margaret.
I could go with Margaret as well. They're both great.
Yeah.
Armson. All right. Could I get a motion to appoint Margaret Beck to the Historic Preservation Commission at large?
Second.
Moved by Don, seconded by Alter. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We are on to item number 11G. This is Housing and Community Development Commission. 3 vacancies to fill a 3-year term, July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2027. So because this will happen on July 1, Eric, do we have to go with the 1 male, 1 female, 1 none?
Well, that's a good question. Of course, at present, that law is in effect. The appointment, of course, will be after it is no longer in effect. I think that since you're making the appointment tonight, you need to continue to comply with the law as it is present.
Okay.
So I will say about this when we're doing housing and community development, right? I've been reached out to by friends of Caleb Baining, and apparently oh wait, never mind, ignore me right now.
I would like to suggest to appoint Dauda Bloody and George.
So there's a motion to appoint Dauda Baldi and George Kavarkis.
I would support. Oh wait, no, this is something.
We already
Sorry.
appointed Colette to something else.
Yes. Okay. I would actually request a deferral on this to our next meeting. And the only reason for that is because I got confused in my head. That's what I started to talk about. Caleb Baining is interested in continuing his term, and he mistakenly did not get his application in. So if people would entertain a deferral, that would be my appreciation. I don't know him personally, but that was just a request that I received from folks.
Yeah, and the only thing I will say is that this has been announced
2 times.
for a long time. You know, I'm
just putting it out there.
Yeah,
you know?
and I mean, and then the other thing is, you know, people that have served a full term, you know, oftentimes we don't we allow other people to have other opportunities. So
Sure.
I hear, I think Caleb does a great job. I like Caleb. I do know Caleb, but I would not feel comfortable
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
delaying for him missing his application date.
No problem. I could also support Dauda.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any, I could support Deota or George is fine. There's just 3 appointments. I would be leaning towards either Carol Kretz or Becky Reedus for the 3rd appointment. Between those 2 would be my next.
Becky works for community.
No.
She used to.
She's been retired for some time.
Okay. For
This
the
would be her
3rd, those are the
second
2 that
term.
I would entertain either of those.
And I think it's Carol,
Is it Kretz?
she had been appointed to finish a term. I don't think that she
She's only
has.
been on
That was gonna
Right,
be
she
my
has not had
question,
a
is
full
if any
term.
of
So
them-
I would support Carol
I would agree.
on that.
Yeah,
Carol?
she didn't finish her term, right?
Or she finished
didn't have a
something.
full term.
Right, exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I would support Carol as well.
And
Can somebody tell me about ethnicity, like assurance means?
Assyrian?
What Assyrians means? What that means?
Assyrian?
Yeah.
That's a great, Syrian, right? Syria? Wait, where are we looking at this? Which person? Oh, Siri's starting to talk. Nope. You got me this time, Mayor.
That's George.
Yeah.
George?
Yes.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
So I can support Carol. George, I did. There's other people that I would support here. I think, when we're talking, there's applicants and giving other people opportunities to serve. So I would do George, Carol, and I'm okay with Baldy as well.
Mayor Pro Tem, I looked it up for you because I didn't know either. It's an ethnic group predominantly from Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just really always think about diversity. That's why I'm saying those 2 people, George and Dauda. And I'm fine with Carol to continue her term. But right now we don't have any diversity on that.
True. In his own answer, he's working with a local nonprofit, and he just said that this is a potential conflict of interest.
Shoot, I missed that.
He's
George?
He said, I am currently employed with a local nonprofit, WANPO, world's okayest nonprofit organization that utilizes donated and raised funds to invest in a variety of care and resources for veterans struggling with their mental health. This is the only potential conflict of interest I have to report.
To be clear,
this is
under
not
3...
really a conflict.
Yeah.
Under 362.5, that nonprofit would be ineligible if he's appointed.
Okay,
Yes.
so,
Oh.
yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just reading from his own application,
right.
and it's, just something to
Shall we,
be aware of.
we could still appoint him and make sure he knows that, and he could decide for himself, and then worst comes to worst, we'd have 4 more appointment to make if he decides.
True.
Kind of choose.
Although I will say that, I think it'll end up being a non-issue. However, if this were to come up, he would have to recuse himself from the entire batch of funding. He can't just take himself off. So
Well,
that's,
if I may, it's not just recusal. He would.
I mean, he's not.
He
not
couldn't get
doing
it.
He can't do any business with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And who are you referring to?
George.
Yeah. So,
I had to resign
yeah.
or something.
I think we have other opportunities here.
But we being seeing some commissioner recuse themselves sometimes. We don't know for now, is the
Yeah.
organization going to allow?
Yeah, I thought it wasn't an issue. it's a veterans organization.
Yes, and
It's
they are not illegal to apply for the city.
nonprofit in Tiffin.
Yes.
But if they apply for funds.
No, we don't do
Yeah,
that.
I'm not suggesting that I know that he would be applying. I have no idea.
No,
but
no
just,
do I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me personally. Sorry.
I mean, the non-profit organization is not in Iowa City and they are not illegal. So he have to tell us that. So, but it is really not conflict.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Wanted to hear other nominations or people to throw support behind names that have been already spoken.
Who's on your list? I'm sorry.
I think George.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
Two people
I
from
have
Jo-
Doabi Baldi with Dunn and Maz,
Dawuda and,
or I'll just say two people.
and Color.
Or maybe,
Yeah, and I got Carol too.
yes. And then George Kavarkis as Harmson, Maz, and Teague.
And me.
And Don, so that is full. And then we have Carol Kratz with 4 already.
Yep.
Because it's Harmson, Alter, Don, Sala, and Teague. So we're just down to one more appointee. And then there's Becky Reedus with Harmson.
We said,
No,
we said
well-
Dawuda.
I said Dawuda.
Yeah, I did mention Don and Maz. Oh, and I did throw my name there. So it was 3 behind Dauda Baldi.
You can add my name to Mr. Baldi, Kavarkis, and Kratz.
Cool.
And Ms.
Okay.
Kratz.
All right, could I get a motion to appoint to the Housing and Community Development Commission, Baldi,
Bloody.
Dottie Blotti,
Yeah.
George Kavarkis, and Carol Kratz?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so I'll give it to Alter.
Yeah.
She's sitting next to me. And so moved by Alter, seconded by Sala. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We are on to item number 12, announcements of vacancies new. And we have 12A, Planning and Zoning Commission, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term upon appointment through June 30th, 2026. And applications must be received by 5 p.m. Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. Could I get a motion to accept correspondence?
Move.
Second.
All right, moved by Sala, seconded by Alter. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 13 is announcements of vacancies previous. 13A, Airport Zoning Board of Adjustment, 1 vacancy to fill a 5-year term. Airport Zoning Commission, 1 vacancy to fill a 6-year term. Historic Preservation Commission, Jefferson Street, 1 vacancy to fill a 3-year term. Historic Preservation Commission, Willon Avenue, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term plus a 3-year term. And vacancies will remain open until filled. Item number 14 is City Council information.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to let the council and the public know that Iowa City High's state champion jazz band will be performing this Friday night on the Ped Mall during the Friday Night Music Series.
Nice.
They are coming away from a state win. They also have, and because I'm also a percussionist, I should mention that their drummer, James Cardos, is like a statewide top jazz drummer. And for those of you that are into jazz music, this is probably a kid that will see his name in the future. So if you're a music lover, you might want to say, I saw this guy once went back when.
Yes.
Would be worth going. That's I think the concert series, I think the performances all start at 6:30. I think the Iowa City band might not take the stage until about 7:45. So it's going to be a great show. I've heard them play before. They are phenomenal. You wouldn't know they were high school kids if you didn't know. Nobody told you.
Yes. Awesome.
Just wanted to say big thanks. I know they're all gone, but to the Public Works people who were at the wastewater treatment plant on Saturday. The event was a huge success, and the kids giggling and screaming at all of the jokes and the things was just really wonderful to see. And the kids loved it. And the staff just did a wonderful job engaging everybody. So thanks to City for organizing that event.
I just want to say yet another hearty and heartfelt thanks and love and gratitude to Angie Jordan, who is the recently resigned director of South of 6. Just the work that she has done to make that area and beyond known is incredible, and I love her to death, and I wish her all the best, and
The work
just so much gratitude. Yeah.
The work she's done and how she's done it, I think, are both
Exactly.
quite admirable.
Absolutely.
Model in amazingness.
Here, here.
All right, we're going to move on to our city, item number 15, report from our city staffs, city manager's office.
Just a quick observation. You think about of boxes that are kind of checked along the way: historic preservation, road repairs, better staff facilities, new pool. You guys did a lot today. That's just a sampling. So, good work. We still have some work session left to do. I'll leave it at that.
Yes. All right, city attorney.
I do have one. One of the attorneys in our office, Sarah Hectone, who's been with us for 17 years, has announced her resignation/retirement. She wants to spend more time with her kids. That time is well deserved. And we will miss her dearly. She has generously agreed to stay on until June, the end of June, so as to try to minimize the amount of time that I'm without her expert services. Applications are due by May 31st. Spread the word.
Awesome. Great. Our acting city clerk.
Nothing to update.
All right. Could I get item number 16? Could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alter, seconded by Burgess. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.